Alrighty, we're loading in, make sure that we're live, and we're going. Okay. Oh, I have to tweet. Make sure that gets out there. Because it would, it's good to have viewers if we're going to be doing the thing. Let's see here, debate. Right. Okay. So, my name is Chris. I've been doing the YouTube thing for not very long. Just maybe probably 5 or 6 months. I've been doing YouTube music for a long time, but I haven't really taken a step into politics or like social commentary or anything like that quite before. This is all kind of new to me. And so you had contacted me on YouTube in the comment section, and you had said something, and I believe I dropped your comment in here. It says, "Excuse me, dear, a person with a penis who penetrates women is a man, period. In my country, if you want to have the status and the ID of a woman, you need surgery first. No surgery, no access to female facilities." And that's what we have come on to talk about, because it was, I just don't agree with this sentiment. So what
Yeah,
excuse me. Go ahead.
so I was just saying that yes, it's not in my country, it's like that, but so maybe I'm influenced by the law in my country, and so I'm a bit mystified by this issue, of course, by this news that because I saw that video, watched that video about that Hispanic woman, I guess, and she seemed shocked, and so this shocked me too, and that's why I said that phrase that in my country the situation is a bit different, but that doesn't mean that, of course, there is this issue in the United States, and I relate to these people, trans women who of course have the right to have access to these spas, of course, or locker rooms like swimming pool and so on. And so this is a big issue, but I was expressing that in my country there is this solution, of course, and I don't know if it's 100% the right solution, but it's a start. And and also what I said about, of course, that the woman was just shocked that this person, who of course is considered a woman by many, not by whole people, because there are also transphobes.
Right.
But she was shocked that she saw her genitalia or genital organs that were those of a male. That's
Right.
why I wrote that comment.
Right. But my I guess my main contention is that if we make trans women go into men's spaces because they have a penis, then it's subjecting them to a vastly greater rate of violence than is the other way around. And so I will say that I'm sure that there is a man out there that's pretending to be a woman in order to gain access into women's spaces. Like, anything is possible, but I have the firm belief that if I can conceive of something, then it is possible that it's happening, but it's just so incredibly rare that I don't think that we should police the 99.9% of people who are doing things the correct way or are who are genuine based on the 0.1% of bad actors. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I have lots of friends who are trans women, and I know that they have never faced something like that because when they don't usually go to spas or locker rooms, and and I know that they have never had a problem like that, you know. But yes, I agree that these situations are very rare. They're not that frequent because also I think that a trans person doesn't feel that comfortable, showing their body because they are transitioning, and
Right.
so
I'm sure
given
that's
that they
possible
are,
too, for sure.
yeah,
That
and
that
they often are, of course, seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and these people tell them, and they tell these people, of course, that they don't feel it comfortable showing their body because they're transitioning and they are developing into the other gender, the opposite gender, of course. And
right.
I think that the situation is awkward because I do believe that this person who identify as a woman didn't think there was nothing bad in going to the female section of the spa and being naked like the other woman. But but those women felt uncomfortable around a person like a person who is maybe transitioning, but he has still, male genitalia and so on and so on.
Well,
So,
see, the problem that I have is that if there was just simply a genuine concern about them being uncomfortable, if they were saying that the sight of male genitalia makes me uncomfortable, I believe that's fine. I don't think that anybody would fault them for that. That's something that can be there's myths that can be dispelled, and there is something to be done about that. Education in order to fix that discomfort or to make them more comfortable or to dispel that kind of shit. The problem that we run into is that they don't really care. It's not about being uncomfortable in the presence of a penis. I don't believe that, specifically because all of the people who have come out against this situation, which it looks like it was all made up in anyway, but all the people that came out against this situation aren't saying, oh, I'm uncomfortable about the sight of a penis. They're saying this was a man and this is not a woman, and that kind of thing. It is strictly the invalidation of trans identities, and I don't believe that it was actually that it has anything to do with seeing a penis in women's spaces. Do you see what I'm saying?
yes, in fact, I saw that, conservatives are using, of course, this accident to exacerbate the issue of trans people, of course, going to, for example, a female bathroom. And the female bathroom is different because there are, closed doors. The stalls, I guess, are closed. So there's no problem there. But we are talking about a spa, and I've never been to a spa, honestly. And but I know that there are swimming pools, and people are naked normally.
Right.
And yes, and that's why there is the female section and the male section, and that's um, I guess it's something that should be fixed, I guess, even if, of course, the situation are very, very rare. So,
But that's kind of my That's my whole problem, though, is that trans women experience a rate of violence statistically that is vastly higher than even women. It's insane how high the rate of violence is. And so I would hate to have to subject 99.9% of trans women to this violence, while because of 0.1% of people who are bad actors, who are pretending to be women in order to flash their penis at cis women or something like that. Like, do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, yes, in fact, indeed, because, as I said, it was really something. I don't know if it's true, if it's fake. I don't know, but it's something that would happen very rarely. So the problem is that as I said before, that conservatives can use this accident to increase, violence and discriminations against all LGBTs or transsexual people particularly. But because it's the problem is that we have a video, we have a testimony of this, I guess, Hispanic woman who was very upset, and she said that there were little girls, and I guess the problem is that that woman said, of course, that there shouldn't be this law that allows, of course, naked transgender people to go to a female facility. But the problem is that, if, for example, FTM, trans man, goes to a male facility,
Sometimes.
and even if, of course, this person has female genitalia, so in that case, it is not, it is allowed. There are no controversies, there are no issues in that case, I guess. No, so there is something like sort of double standards. Do you agree?
Sure, I would agree to that. That if a trans, because just like that other caller said in the previous talk, he was saying that trans men are not seen as a threat, but trans women, for some reason, are seen as a threat. And what I'm gathering from that is that people are viewing like a penis as a weapon, or something like that. But this all comes back together to being that there's 0.1% of possibly bad actors, which is weird, because I just don't think that if somebody's going into this conclusion of the women's room, if they're going to go into the women's room to commit a crime against a woman, then it doesn't matter whether or not they put on a dress and say that they're a woman. They're going to do that anyway. So I'm very confused as to this assumption of malfeasance, and I think it all comes down to the idea that they're different, and because they're different, it's hard to understand, and because it's hard to understand, then people assert malfeasance on the part of the trans woman just simply by virtue of existence, and I think that this is why we get all these problems, that these assertions of malfeasance that is.
Yes, fact.
So I want to go back to your comment, because I feel like we've spoken generally, and you said that a person with a penis who penetrates a man or penetrates a woman is a man, period.
Yes, of
Do you,
course, I found extreme, but actually, the truth is that I know for sure that according to surveys, there are so many trans women in the United States who identify as a lesbian. Okay,
yeah.
for and this is awkward in my opinion because I know so many trans women and here in Italy and they all identify as straight heterosexual women. That is, if they have surgery, so they have their vaginoplasty, it's called.
Yeah.
So they want to have sex, they have relations with a man, so because they identify as heterosexual. The problem is that it's a bit confusing because, sexual orientation is something different than gender, but at the same time, it is weird that a person is transsexual and gay at the same time. It's a bit, mm,
But
it's a bit,
that's the thing is I don't think that gender I don't think gender expression and sexual orientation are like interlinked at all.
yeah,
So
in fact,
if go ahead.
no, no, in fact, go on, go on.
I don't think that these two concepts are related. I think that if somebody is interested in men and they were born a man, then when they transition, then sometimes they will continue to be interested in men, and then it becomes like kind of like a hetero relationship. Because and also you say in my country if you want the status and ID of a woman you need surgery first or whatever like that. I don't think that that's I'm not saying that it's that your information is correct. I would not agree with that law. And I also don't use the law as a way to determine what is right and wrong. So the idea that I'm getting at is that I just don't think that a penis or a vagina, I don't think that these things are the defining characteristics between man and woman. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
So would you agree that real quick? Would you agree that gender we have
Yeah,
two categories, right? We've got man and woman, and these are the two categories. And then they're like a Venn diagram. They're pretty close together, and then we have like a hazy circle drawn around woman with it that has all of these different qualities in it. Things like soft skin or like long hair, wearing jewelry, and that kind of thing. And this is what it means to be a woman. This kind of hazy amalgamation of traits. And then you go into man and you have this hazy amalgamation of traits that are all in here. But it's like a Venn diagram. So there's a lot of overlap in the middle. And so there is no hard line between male, or not male, but there is no hard line between man and woman. Does that make sense?
yes. I do understand your point. The problem is that I was speaking of the law. I studied law. I have a bachelor degree in law. So I think that speaking of my country, of course, that the law does respect, of course, gender identity, which is, of course, something very important, very sacred for the person because we are all different, we are all unique. But at the same time, the law is pragmatic. That is, if a man identifies as a woman, is supposed to, of course, if you want, he can, of course, he can transition and so on. But if the law, if he wants that, if she wants, because is a woman, she wants that the law to recognize her as a woman,
Of course.
The law needs to say, okay, I change your gender or your sex on the ID, your legal status into that of a woman but there are several issues. For example, only there are dogmas here as for the law. Only men can be fathers and only women can be mothers. So if the man has sex with a woman and makes children with them, and then even if this man transitioned, this man, of course, is father, but cannot be considered a mother legally, because it's another juridic concept. Of course, that's what I mean, and that's
I
why the law.
Right. Well, I would say that I don't think our language is like very capable right now. I think that there's a lot of failings with our language when it comes to these concepts, because whenever we looked at sex as a binary, as a strict binary, then it became very simple. If penis plus penis equals homosexual, penis plus vagina equals heterosexual. If you want both, then it's bisexual. Very, very simple, very easy and whatever. But I think that these words are kind of on the way out. I feel like people feel like these concepts are important to them, but like it's difficult to like have language keep up with these concepts. And I understand that, like, so if a man impregnates a woman and they have a child, and then he becomes a she, and then she's still a father. I understand it's a fun thing to think about, but I don't think that takes away from him being, or excuse me, from her being a woman. Does that make sense? Because if we require women to change their IDs, or to get sex reassignment surgery, or to have any of these medical procedures in order to be considered a woman, if in order to be considered a woman, then there necessarily is a financial barrier to womanhood, and I don't think that that's correct. I feel like if you can't afford surgeries or any of these gender affirming procedures, I don't think that there's anything. I don't think that we should allow the financial portion of that to bar people from entering. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, in fact, as for the United States, it's correct, but in Italy there is the National Health Service, and the healthcare is public, so it's the state, of course, that pays for surgery. And because it would be unacceptable if the state didn't pay for surgery and it still demanded surgery for trans people. But in this case, also because, of course, our healthcare is public. And that's why, if you're speaking of this.
Well, there's a lot more than just the financial barrier as well. In the United, I didn't realize that there was the NHS in Italy.
Speaking of the United States.
Do what?
Yes. No. Yes. Go on.
In the United States, I don't think this kind of thing is handled by health insurance, and you'd have to pay for it all out of pocket. It's extremely expensive to transition in the United States. But even with the financial barrier out of the way, there's still there's still lots of factors to consider. Like surgery might just be scary, or they might not even be dysphoric at all. Maybe they don't want to give up their penis. Maybe they just like it the way it is, but they feel like they're a woman. They feel like they have the qualities, and they fit within this hazy circle, but then, the penis isn't what's holding them back. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they can't, even if they don't get like laser hair removal or any of that stuff, or they can't afford titty skittles, then it's not necessarily, or maybe they just don't want those things because they don't feel like they need them. Like, do you feel, okay, here's a question. Do you feel like it's necessary to have dysphoria in order to be trans?
By dysphoria, you mean, of course, that is, dysphoria is a psychological term, is a medical term. That is, you don't identify with the gender assigned at birth.
Right. It's
And,
as far as I understand,
and
it's like whenever
yeah,
your
gender
yeah,
dysphoria.
when your
Yes.
physical body doesn't match what your brain tells you it should have. That's dysphoria, and I don't
Yes.
think that all trans people are
Yes.
dysphoric.
Yes, but also I understand what you mean. That is, of course, I think that I consider women also the trans women who want to have surgery because we are all different. The trans world is very, very diverse. There are women who identify, trans women who identify with the male genital organs and are comfortable with them. And then there are other trans women who have vaginoplasty or, I don't know, or orchiectomy and so on. And, and it doesn't mean that one is not a woman and the other is a woman. I guess that's it's a given that they are all women. They deserve to be considered by the society what they feel. They feel a woman, and because that's gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria, of course, is supposed to be respected regardless of surgeries. I
I
was
agree.
speaking of surgery as for a juridical point of view, but I make a distinction between law and society
Of course.
acceptance.
Hey, Daddy,
Yes.
So, okay, hang on one second. What's up, boy?
do you want the cherry
I
kind?
do not, but I appreciate you. Okay, go watch your videos. Love you.
Bye.
He was offering me an icy pop. But I'm sorry. Where were we? You said that I'm really the main thing that I had a problem with whenever you said whenever you sent this comment was a person with a penis who penetrates women is a man, and it sounds like we're not so hardline in that belief. Is that what I'm understanding? You said that there are women who aren't dysphoric and they're perfectly comfortable with having a penis.
Mm, yes, but you have to make the distinction. Did this person have a hormone replacement therapy? Uh,
Well, if we don't,
there
if we,
are
I don't think
there
that
are so
we.
many
Go ahead.
shades, there are so many shades as for the trans issue. So I don't know whether this person has ever had a hormone replacement therapy.
I think that
You know,
isn't hormone replacement therapy. That's kind of my thing. Is that I don't think that HRT is a necessary component of being trans. If they
well,
don't
I don't
have
know.
any desire to because what if they don't have any desire to change, like, physically? They just want to be perceived socially, right? If it's like
Yes.
I don't want to take hormones and have all of this change and whatever, because, like, I don't know, I can imagine that if, say, you discover that you're trans when you're like 30 or something
Hmm.
like that, then I can understand somebody being like, I feel like I'm a woman. I'm perfectly
Hmm.
comfortable in my body the way it is. So I'm going to wear makeup, grow my hair long, and put on a dress. and then and I'm just going to go out there and live my best life. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Do you?
No, of course not.
Well, then
It's
we're, I
a
mean,
freedom.
yeah, I think
It's
that's great, but
absolutely respectful, and there are so many people who do that. There are so many trans women who just, of course, dress and better their bodies through other kinds of surgery, like mastoplasty or other surgeries, but they neither have H or T or nor surgery, bottom surgery, like
right.
and yes, of course, socially they deserve to be considered women. I was speaking of the law, and the law protects people like the Hispanic woman at the spa. There
Well,
are,
that's the thing, is that
yeah,
the woman at the spa wasn't in danger, and that's the thing that I have a problem with.
in fact,
It,
yes, I do agree with that. I do
so
agree that there was no practical danger, um, but there is the hedonic damage, which is very, subjective. So a woman can feel comfortable with a person, with a trans woman who has still male genitalia, but another woman will not.
right, and yes, I feel like I've covered this, where if this woman went to this hypothetical trans person, which I am almost convinced doesn't exist at all. Like, I don't even think that there was a stand-in for this person. I'm pretty sure that this person is entirely made up, but I don't know that for sure. The what I'm getting at is that this woman didn't say, there is a person with a penis back there and it makes me uncomfortable. No, she went to the staff and was screaming at them, this is a man in the women's section, that then went on a tirade about how trans women are not valid, and that they're just men in dresses looking to commit sexual assault against women by getting into their spaces, by pretending, quote, pretending to be a woman. And so, like I said before, these they don't, it's not about being uncomfortable at the sight of a penis. It has everything to do with the existence of trans people as a concept.
Yes. The problem is that, even if these situations are very rare, but let's say, of course, that there were children, and an adult person can understand, of course, that there are transgender people who are transitioning, of course, and they have, but of course, if there were children, it becomes a bit more difficult,
I
I
don't think it
guess.
changes anything. The reason why I say it doesn't change anything is because if the woman, if a woman takes her child into a place that is well known for being LGBTQ friendly, where there's also going to be nudity, and it's also well known for that, it says on their website it is, quote, not for the modest, then the woman has consented for her child to see nudity. And therefore, after she walks through that door, any and all nudity she sees, vaginas, penises, boobs, buttholes, all of it, she's consented to that. And so it's entirely and completely on the parents, not on any trans woman that's in the spa just living her best life. Does that make sense?
Yes, in fact, for example, I know that the Russian spa that is called Banya in Russian, there is no difference between female section or male section. They are all together, and they are naked because it's a sort of sauna spa, the Russian banya. But
That
in
sounds
this spa
based. I
what?
said that sounds based. It sounds good, cool. Like
Yeah, also in Finland, I guess. And but there in this spa there was the female section and the male section. The problem is that.
what is
Or
the
like, for example, in a swimming pool, there is the male section, the male locker room, and the female locker
so so I'm confused because like it sounds like we mostly agree that if this person existed, if the story panned out the way that this woman said, that there was a trans woman in the spa, then I feel like this trans woman is okay. Like it's perfectly fine for her to be where she was, and that this woman recording the video was wrong, and she's especially wrong because it wasn't real. But or it appears to be heading that way. That as evidence comes out. But even then, even if it were true, she's wrong for recording the video and saying the things that she did. She's literally just transphobic, and it has nothing to do with discomfort around penises. Would you agree?
maybe she overacted with the employees who maybe were just, were forced to apply the law and say, of course, we cannot deny the access to a female section to, trans woman.
Well, that spa
But
before the law existed, that spa before the law existed was LGBTQ friendly, way before that it was legal, right? And they were targeted with disinformation campaigns from these type of people over and over again for years. And the reason why is because they allowed trans women into the women's section, and so every couple years or so, some conservative group will get together and they will make up a claim. This is like just another one in a long series of claims that these people have made, where they go into the spa specifically to start trouble with the spa because they allow people to choose the section of the spa that they go into based on their gender identity.
yes, it's a possibility.
So
But at the same time, of course, the issue remains, and if there are solutions that can avoid, because it's if it's true, it's saddening that that woman was mystified, was really upset. So I guess in my country there is a solution. There is this rule, of course, but maybe there are alternative solutions, like, for example, there can be promiscuous section, because if you are a woman or a man, you can decide it, even if you are cisgender, you can decide to go to a promiscuous section, and that, will solve this issue.
well, that's the thing, is that is this spa has it on their website, and they are famous for being, quote, not for the modest. So this woman, if we're going to go with that this should be a promiscuous section, this woman went into a spa that was known for that was known for being not for the modest. So if she didn't want to be in a place where there was going to be nudity that was also LGBTQ friendly, then she should have gone somewhere else. So it's not all about splitting this spa up into a non-nude section and a nude section. Instead of doing that, she could literally just go to a different spa. She went to this spa, and I obviously can't confirm this, but I can infer from the way everything went down that she went in there specifically to stir up this shit.
I don't know. Well, if it was all faked, well, it's sad, but yes, of course, in a city there can be so many spas. So if you don't like a spa, there's no need you, of course, shout and protest. You can go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's like
it's LA. There's like a billion spas in
yeah,
LA.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not like a little town with just a spa and you know
I want to say there's
and
like 4 million people in LA. Um,
what?
yeah, there's like 4 million people in LA. Like LA is enormous. So yeah, I don't really buy this concept that this was the only spa that she could go to. And I got tripped up by the last guy that I talked to. I got tripped up by the last guy that I talked to when he was saying whether it was the law. But then again, the Wee Spa has been a target. And after I looked into it, the Wee Spa has been a target of harassment from disinformation campaigns over and over again because they've allowed trans people to go into the section that they identify with, and the law is new. So this is nothing new, and whatever. Do you understand what I'm kind of getting at here?
Yes, yes. In fact, I do know that American conservatives can be really extreme when it deals with fighting, LGBT issues. There are maybe in my country there is more, diplomacy between right and left, but conservatives in the United States are extremes. Like, for example, it, all that happened next, it was just an overreaction. All those, protests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's just it's just transphobia
to
at that point for sure.
yeah. In fact, that's why people are doubting it's not authentic. It's not an authentic story. It was staged
Mm-hmm.
because all of that, controversy, protesting and so on.
Right.
And yes, I don't agree with that. With it was overreaction. Yes, it should have been more, more reasoned, more calm, more
Well,
rational.
I mean, you say that, but I don't think that even the woman's complaint was really worthy of even bringing up. Um, and if it was, like, because at worst, she was uncomfortable in the presence of a penis, but that's something that she has to get over or go to a different spa. And so it's like I said, I feel like she put herself in a position, like we're just pretending it's true right now. She put herself in that position and then is complaining about being in that position. And that's my main issue with the whole story, and it has been from the beginning, is that, is that kind of shit. Also, there's a much wider divide in the United States between the left and the right. The right is constantly trying to stir up shit and disinfo campaigns and misinformation and all that to keep people scared. They're much further to the right than the Italian right. The Italian right would probably be really close to what I believe. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like American
Well,
politics is so far to the right compared to everywhere in Europe, basically.
yes, what I'm realizing that the Italian right is not obsessed with LGBT. They never talk about the LGBT. Of course, there are, of course, LGBTs in these right-wing parties. So there is no identity politics like you know it's more about economic issues and not about LGBT or minorities
I
and
gotcha.
mhm. And
So just to be clear, a person with a penis is not a man, right? A person with a penis is not necessarily a man.
no, I didn't mean that. I said that, of course, since we are all unique, a woman can have, of course, male genitalia, but she can have all the, you know, all the soul. The soul is important. The soul can be female
Right.
because the soul is. I believe in the soul. I'm a believer, so I
Okay.
can believe that there can be a female soul, but the body is male.
Okay.
So
So we're in a so that's kind of my question, is that we're in agreement that, because the reason why I took issue with your comment is that you said a person with a penis is a man, period. And
I
so,
yes, I meant these people. I was speaking of the sexual orientation. That is, if a trans woman identifies as a woman, of course, it's difficult for me to empathize with her. That if she, of course, she is into a woman, because I identify as a heterosexual woman, and I don't understand how a woman, even if a trans woman who hasn't had surgery, can be into other women,
okay.
because cisgender women can be lesbians, but they are cisgender.
Well, that's the thing, is that especially in this story, there was no expression of sexual orientation with the story. It was literally just a trans woman existing. So if we're moving off of that, if we're acknowledging that a person with a penis can be a woman, now we're talking about, can a woman with a penis be a lesbian? Is that what we're asking?
Yes, of course. That's the issue. That's
Uh,
yes, because it is related to this accent, because they think, some people think that trans women who identify as lesbians enjoy going to, for example, a spa to to eat on other women. It's like I went to a male locker room and I eat on men because I'm into men.
Hang on, I have a comment in chat. It says, "Totally disagree. I'm not against transgenders. I'm pretty much a socialist and live in Europe. However, I feel like women's rights slash safety are under attack, not because transgenders purse. I don't know what that word is, but a lot of pervs who use this and have us in the. Okay, I'm just gonna have to get to you guys later. But I'll argue with chat after I hang up with Miss Helga over here. um, I like I've said, I'm not. I wasn't prepared. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. I'll give you the dub on this one, because or excuse me, when I say W, I mean like the win, because I haven't thought about that very much. I do believe that our current understanding of language isn't really capable of understanding, or not understanding, that our concept of language, our understanding of language is not the best at handling these topics. So if someone identifies as a lesbian because they are a woman that was born as a man, but they are into women, then these lesbians are necessarily just going to have a different experience altogether. And I understand that. I don't think that sexual orientation and gender are linked. I don't think that these two concepts fit together, or that they're not. They correlate often, but I don't think that they're necessarily linked together. Does that make sense?
Yes, and the problem is that these people, there are lesbians who are called TERFs, TERFs,
Yes.
because they are lesbians. But since they say, "Well, I'm a lesbian," these people are lesbians, and they just are into cisgender women because they are into vagina. Sorry, but I have to say they are with people with vagina. So and so they feel bothered if a trans woman identifies as a lesbian. Just that.
Right. But I don't know. I don't take anything that TERFs say super seriously. It's interesting to learn their perspective about things because I just find it fascinating. But I don't think that. But I don't really care what they think, honestly. Like, it doesn't, just because that they think or they are bothered by people, a woman that has a penis identifying as a lesbian, it doesn't bother me at all. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't like sway my opinion. I think that trans
Yes.
women can be lesbians. Would you agree that trans women can be lesbians?
Maybe it's the definition, which is, I don't know. It's difficult for me because in
Well,
real life,
if we're
in real life,
saying a woman that is sexually interested in women, then
mm-hmm.
then I think lesbian is a proper descriptor. The thing is that like, I don't know, I just personally, if somebody says I'm a lesbian or whatever, I don't know, I just don't care. Like, it's one of those things where it's kind of like this bisexual lesbian thing, or like the pansexual bisexual lesbian or whatever. They mix all these concepts together. I personally do not get it. I would not be able to explain it to you, but at the same time, I just don't care. It doesn't affect me whatsoever how they label their sexual identity. Does that make sense?
Yes, in fact, my comment was just my personal opinion, but
Oh, okay.
I'm maybe in real because in real life I only know trans women who are straight, who are into men. So, but that's what my opinion. But I will try to understand the perspective of this person, of these people, of course, and because it's a bit confusing, when. Gender identity and sexual preferences intertwine, and
Right.
it's not easy to put in someone's shoes, like as for sexual orientation, especially if you're straight, and I don't know,
Well, that's
just that.
and I understand that. I understand that historically, or like that in the
Mhm.
past we have had these two concepts that were like interlinked. It's kind of like sex and gender. Sex and gender, all the way up until I was like 25 was meant the same thing. That they were entirely and completely interchangeable. It isn't till recently that I've come to understand differently, and so I understand that it's confusing and it's novel, and all of this stuff is new, but then again, like I said, I think that you're approaching it okay. I think that you're coming at it from a standpoint of, I'm not really sure I understand this, and whatever, but I'm going to work to understand it, and I think that that's pretty cool.
Yes, exactly.
So, just to be clear, I think that we've come to a better understanding, and that when you said a person with a penis who penetrates a woman is a man, you're not saying that the person with a penis is a man. You're saying that you take issue with trans women identifying as lesbians. Is that correct?
No, it's not about identity, of course, because they have the right to identify as lesbians.
Right.
But, for I was speaking of, mm, the maybe I'm so backward, but I cannot see the difference between, for example, me, heterosexual woman, having sex with a man, with a cisgender man, and the difference between me and, a trans woman who still has a penis, who has sex with a cisgender woman. I guess that's the same thing, of course.
Well, I mean, the
So
parts would
I
fit
was
together the
speaking
same, probably.
heterosexual. It is in both cases heterosexual sex. That's what I meant. But
I mean,
by that,
no, I get what you're saying. I don't know if that's really a problem. I don't think if people would say that that's really an issue, that it would be technically heterosexual sex, because
yes,
when you say sexual is the part that says, sex, that because sex is extremely bimodal, and if we're talking about the action itself, there's only so many combinations, and we have names for all of those. But I don't know. I understand what you're saying, and that it can be confusing, but at the same time, it's like meh. People can identify however they like, and it doesn't matter to me really all that much. It's just the what I read into your when I read into your comment, I read into it that there was like maliciousness on the part of trans women that haven't medically transitioned or whatever. But since you haven't said that or have walked it back, one of the two, I think that maybe I was just reading too much into it. Then we're cool. It sounds like we're totally on the same page. But we just have a little bit of I guess soul searching to do in order to kind of better understand the concepts or not be so hung up on them. Does that make sense?
yes, it does. Fact, but I don't. I understand that my comment sounds, you know, sounds controversial. I do know that some people might feel offended, but what I think that that the majority of trans women are into men. That's why I I don't think it's really controversial.
Well, in you're
No.
saying in Italy that the majority of trans women, or excuse me, the majority of trans women
Yeah.
are heterosexual.
Yeah, I've never heard of,
I pers
maybe there are, but
I personally, like, I follow some trans people on Twitter, but I personally
mhm,
don't know any trans people in real life. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
I don't know how that works or whatever. So I wouldn't need, or I would need some kind of like data or whatever, because I can't make any claims to that because I just don't know. I don't know if it's like maybe just like a regional thing or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
okay, well this was a I think
Mhm.
a good productive conversation. I think that you provided an interesting perspective that I hadn't thought before, and that I think that you're much more accepting than than the comment led me to believe, and I think that we're mostly on the same page for those types of things, and I appreciate the
Yeah, yeah.
conversation.
Mhm.
Do you have any
Yeah,
final memes?
no, no, it was very fruitful conversation for me too, because I also, try to understand this issue, because yes, some people definitely overreacted, even if, of course, there can be solutions.
Right,
Okay,
for sure. Okay. Well, I appreciate you.
okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool person. I didn't really. I was gonna play games, but I couldn't remember. Like I was having trouble. I had to like use all of my brain to understand through the accent. That was tough, but we got through it. We got through it. Okay, chat is saying some dumb shit. Let's go with chat. Totally disagree. I'm not against transgenders. I'm pretty much a socialist and live in Europe. However, I feel like women's rights / safety are under attack. Not because of transgenders. Purse, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but a lot of pervs who use this and have us this in the past, and it's scary that people don't take this problem serious. It's whenever we're talking about this kind of problem, I'm sure that it exists. I'm sure that there are people that do that. I just don't. It just doesn't happen. Like this Wii Spa incident is yet another incident where the conservatives have invented a problem that wasn't a problem before, and they've invented an issue. They didn't say that this. It just didn't happen. Oh my God. Here, more woman, adult, human, female. Oh my God, what a dork. Fucking die. Are killed around the world for being born female. Watch the latest documentary about women and girls being murdered in Honduras right now. I don't know what's going on in Honduras, but I'm pretty sure that it's like, I don't know what's going on in Honduras. I'm just not even going to say anything about that. But there are different, like regionally, there are different types of oppression, and people go through some shit. I mean, I may be been uninformed, but I was learned that there were two sexes, XX and XY, the chromosomes in every part of the whole body. How do you feel about that lot of transition equals sterilization? Okay. Oh God! First of all, whenever you interact with someone, you don't look at their chromosomes. Okay. Whenever you run into somebody on the street, you don't go, "Hey, look at that XX chromosome." Like that's not what happens. Oh my God, this fucking chopper's pissing me off. Fuck. So you don't look at their chromosomes. And even then, the sexes can, like I said, there's a bimodal distribution, even in sex, that there's a wide range of qualities that make up a sex, where it's like genitalia and chromosomes and hormones and all of these things, but not necessarily, these things don't necessarily all they mostly coincide, but it's not necessary that you have to have every single box ticked. Oh, I got you, you piece of shit. Got him. So yeah, I understand that in 6th grade you learned that there was two sexes, XX and XY, but that is like I said, it's a 6th grader's understanding of how this kind of thing works. And so, you just kind of have to understand that that it is a lot more complicated than you learned about in middle school. Transition equals sterilization. Is that the whole, you have to, no, that's the wrong button. That whole, I can't remember how to fucking use my equipment. I haven't played this game in so fucking long. Oh, God. Okay. I don't know. It's just it's novel, it's new, it's interesting, and it's difficult to understand. I understand that. I'm sorry, my English is not that good, but a lot of these problems are not visible to the average cis man. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. Okay, the reason why is because if this was a problem that was only visible to cis women, there would no, there would be data to support it. It is strictly that you're uncomfortable around penises, which is fine. It's fine to be uncomfortable, but you can't start like putting. You can't be assuming that people are out to get you. These people are trying to hurt you or whatever. I just don't buy that argument like at all. This isn't something that's just like hidden or whatever. It's not that people are being raped and because I have a penis, then I'm not going to be able to see it. There would be data to support that claim. I just don't buy that for a second. I don't think they talked about a real transgender at the Wii Spa. Transgenders have body dysmorphia, so I cannot imagine a real transgender flashing other people. That's not true. Is that transgender people are not always dysphoric. Sometimes people are perfectly comfortable in their bodies, but they just don't socially, they don't feel like they've been socialized correctly or whatever. So it has nothing to do with what you look like. It has to do with what you're socialized as. You know what I mean? Okay, you have your opinion, but I have never called someone the words you just called me, and I'm in the pride community. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't, the words that I just called you. I didn't call anybody names, I don't think. I said that you have a 6th grader's understanding of sex, and that's fine. And I also don't care if you're in the pride community or not. There's a lot of militant fucking morons in the LGBT community that are terminally online, like insane fucking idiots. Absolutely. Like nobody would deny this in good faith. But the problem is that those people don't represent real life. That they're like 1% of 1%. We're talking about a subsection of a subsection. And so this is just like the whole trans people going into the bathroom thing. That it's not real. That there's just this wide variety of people trying to oh fuck. Got him. Got him. So, I don't know. I guess get over yourself. I don't really know what to say. That it doesn't. It's whatever. I'm going to go ahead and message that other person and see if they're willing to, if they're ready. It's about an hour early. You think it should exist a trans exclusive bathroom? I don't think so. I think it would be fine though. The thing is that like there are unisex family bathrooms in like most grocery stores that I go to. There's men, women, family, and so having a third bathroom where just it's unisex and anybody can go in, I don't see a problem with that. But I also don't see a problem with trans women going into the women's restroom. I know it is an hour early. If you need more time, I will wait. But yeah, a trans exclusive bathroom. I mean, I don't really know what problem that would solve. That's kind of what I'm getting at, is that it is creating something to solve a problem that doesn't really exist. So I no, probably I wouldn't. If I were a business owner, I wouldn't fuck with that shit. I would just be like, if you're going to the bathroom, go into the bathroom, do your business, and stop looking at other people's genitals. Like, really. Like, I don't know. I can tell you that I've never gone into the bathroom and checked around at people's genitalia. Like, I go into a bathroom, you know, you have situational awareness, you kind of glance around the room to see what's in there and whatever. But for the most part, I'm keeping my eyes to the floor or on my wiener. Do you think there is a problem? And if yes, what's the problem in your view? I don't think that there is a problem. Oh shit. One of those fucking... I don't think that there is a problem. I think that the problem, quote unquote, that exists is so incredibly rare that there is no way to like legislate or like control trans people in a way that would be able to that we'd be able to fix it. That this is just like any problem that you have with regards to people pretending to be women in order to do whatever. This all comes down to rape culture. And you have to combat rape culture in order to make that kind of shit go away. Because if you if you project onto every single man... No, I didn't want my fucking... if you project onto every single man that they or men or just penis havers in general, if you project onto them that, you know, if you treat them like their entire mission in life is to have sex, and if you treat them that way and you make that assertion on them all the time, well, people more or less act in ways that you treat them. You know, they act pretty predictably. You know, so if you treat someone as if they're a criminal, then they're, you know, they might end up as a criminal. That doesn't mean that you were right. It means that you're socially conditioning them to end up that way. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a problem. No answer yet. I wonder if they're gonna back out. Dead. Oh my God. Let's see here. I guess the only problem that I can come up with is all the fucking trans thibs. Naive. Okay. Do you know anything about the history of violence against women? It seems like you don't know anything. Why women fought for single-sex safe spaces. Why did they fight for that then? The history of single-sex safe spaces. I'm not saying that women have not experienced an increased rate of violence, you know, from cis men. I'm not saying that that isn't true. I'm saying that women being victimized by men pretending to be women in order to gain access to those spaces is stupid. And it doesn't make any sense. Because, as I've explained before, if you are running away from a rapist or some shit like that, or somebody that's just trying to commit violence against you or whatever, running into the women's restroom is not going to prevent any crimes. Like, someone who is going to opportunistically go into a place where there was only women around, or that is secluded like a women's restroom or whatever, like, whether or not he's pretending to be a woman is not going to stop him from committing that crime. And so for the 1% of the 1% that would pretend to be a woman in order to facilitate this crime, it's I just don't, motherfucker, I don't believe it. I just don't believe that we should be policing 99.9% of people based on this 0.01% of bad actors. See my previous message about the prisons. Prisons are an entirely different monster, okay? Prisons are a completely different thing altogether. We're not talking about the general public. We're not talking about general populations and their behaviors. We're talking about a very specific set of people. Thoughts on Jessica Yaniv? Could be spelling that wrong. Her waxing situation, period obsession, topless kids party, taking pictures in the ladies' room, talking to minors about menstruation. Okay, I'll have to take one thing at a time. I don't really know who Jessica Yaniv is. Waxing situation, I don't know anything about that. Period obsession, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Topless kids party, taking pictures in the ladies' room. You probably shouldn't be doing that. And I think talking to minors about menstruation is fine. You should. I mean, really, you should be talking to kids about menstruation. That's a good thing to know. Because, okay, I knew this fucking idiot who was like 28, right? He's a 28-year-old kid. I say kid. He was like 28, and I used to work with him at the jail. And he thought that a period was the result of sex, and that if you didn't have sex, then you wouldn't have a period. And so he was dating this girl, and she got her period, and they hadn't had sex. So he thought he was cheating on her, or excuse me, that she was cheating on him, and he fucking broke up with her because he didn't know shit about periods. So yeah, it's okay to talk to kids about menstruation. I think that's fine. That's something that people should probably know. I don't know anything about this waxing situation or anything else, but yeah, I think talking to kids about menstruation is fine. And prisons, by the way, are a completely different monster. And I'm pretty sure that you were the one that sent me the shit about how in California they're putting convicted rapists alone in rooms with women so that they can get raped repeatedly, and that the guards won't step in. They'll just watch, you know. They won't step in. They're just gonna watch because they're scared of a lawsuit. It's just bullshit. That story is horseshit. That is not happening. I looked into it, and this is a story that was invented by fucking Abigail Schreier. Not entirely invented. There is some truth to it, that they are allowing trans women to identify as women, and then allowing those women into women's prisons, but they're not like locking them in the same cell together. And we've had co-ed jails in Oklahoma for like forever. This is something that's been going on for a long fucking time. But they would not be doing anything, and I promise you, they would not be doing anything that would facilitate more rapes. Okay? It just won't happen. Because if it does, like, I don't know if anybody's heard of PREA, or they just don't know what that means, but the Prison Rape Elimination Act is like, oh my God, they take that shit super fucking seriously. I have 10 years experience in corrections, and that shit was a fucking nightmare. Because if like inmates would even talk about sex, it was a huge problem. Oh, it's a Perea incident. And so, which is good. It's bloody stupid to think anyone would let that happen. Abso-fucking-lutely. There was no, like, the stupidest fucking claim about that was that guards are afraid, motherfucker, that guards are afraid of a lawsuit, so they're just gonna let the rape happen. Like, that right there should tell you where they're coming from, whenever they're trying to make an assertion of, like, whatever honesty, or how much honesty that they were using to discuss that shit. Let's see here. Yaniv also wanted to have a swim party with nothing but underage girls without their parents. I don't know anything about that. Wait, Gargod in chat says talking to kids about sexual education should be essential. Here in Mexico, sexual education is almost non-existent, LOL, at least in poor regions. That's the reason of 15-year-olds having kids. Yes, of course, because what's it called? because the abstinence-only education, and that's usually like, because as far as I understand, Mexico is pretty Catholic, and so abstinence-only education, like, just necessarily leads to more teen pregnancies. Let's see here. Look into her before defending her menstruation talks. There's no reason a trans woman or any adult should seek out children they don't know to ask them about their periods. When you say ask them about their periods, I hate how people just ignore situations like Yaniv or endorse it. I don't know anything about Yaniv, and I've said this. I am going off of the statement. I have already said that I don't know anything about Yaniv. And God, you people are fucking stupid, okay? I keep saying one thing, and then you go, well, I this other shit, and I'm like, I didn't ever fucking say that, and I'm not defending Yaniv or whatever she's doing. Or I assume a she, but I specifically said that I don't understand, that I don't know anything about Jessica Yaniv, and that. But the sentence in and of itself, talking to children about menstruation, is probably fine. That especially if it's in an education sense. Like these, ever since I started talking about this Wee Spa situation, it has invited like absolute dumb fucks into my chat, and it is amazing to me how bad faith some of you people are. Oh my God. Let's see here. Yaniv also wanted to have a swim party with nothing but underage girls without their parents. I don't know who this Yaniv person is, but they sound like a fucking creep. I'll look at, like, if what you're saying is true, then they're probably a bad person or whatever, and that they probably shouldn't be doing that shit. I don't know anything about that, so. If women in prison say anything about the male inmates' harassment, so they will affect their time and they can get longer sentences for hate speech. Bullshit. You are fucking lying. Okay? Hate speech is not a crime, and you're not going to get added time for on your sentences. Go fuck yourself. I'm not buying into that bullshit at all, dude. Like, seriously, we would have inmates shouting the N-word at the top of their lungs and they didn't get additional time. Okay? You're in my wheelhouse talking about prisons. You're a fucking liar. Why are you so certain that you... I know these things, okay? Like I said, I have 10 years experience in corrections. I know for a fact that there is no hate speech laws that is getting people punished in prisons, okay? It's just not happening. You're a fucking liar. It's not happening, okay? I'm not searching it. I'm not wasting my time debunking another one of your bullshit claims. I don't give a fuck about Canada. Canada does their thing, okay? I live in the United States, and as far as I understand, as far as I'm concerned, the United States is the only country that exists. I don't give a fuck about Canada. That's their problem. I can't affect Canada. I can't vote in Canada. Canada is just stupid. Hate speech does not have a legal definition in the United States. True. You can say whatever you want in the United States. And so yes. You can say basically whatever you want in the United States as long as it's not infringing on the rights of someone else. Like if people have a right to not be afraid. So you can't go and tell people that you're going to like bomb their fucking house or something like that. That's a problem. That's something that you're not allowed to do. But then again, you can't, incite a riot or whatever. What is your position on solitary? Solitary is fucking cringe. It is absolutely the stupidest fucking shit, and they should not be doing that shit. Whenever they say that it's torture, they're absolutely correct. I worked for 3 years in segregation. You people call it solitary. In real life, they call it segregation or restrictive housing, and those people go insane. Like, they will do everything they can to get out of that cell, even if it's literally just to go right outside the door. And they absolutely shouldn't be doing that bullshit. They need to be having contact with someone And that was usually me. Like, they would be desperate for contact, and so when I'd go around to do security checks or something like that, they'd be like, and they'd be like desperately trying to come up with something to talk about, because we would do our security checks in irregular intervals, so they wouldn't be able to guess when we were coming around, and they would be like trying to come up with something to talk about on the fly. Yeah, dude, it's fucking stupid. It doesn't help anything. There are people who voluntarily go into seg because they're scared of being in jail, or they're like a child molester or something like that, and child molesters get beat the fuck up. Okay, your prison experience equals not the only experience that exists. Other men and women, other prisons, come on. I understand the law, okay? I have read the health and safety standards of prisons over and over and over again, working 12-hour shifts with no breaks, locked in a concrete box with 94 assholes that would rather have me dead than sitting at that fucking desk, okay? So I have read the book a million times. I know how it works across the entire United States, okay? I understand federal law. And there is no such thing in the United States. I'm sure Canada is on its dumb shit, but there is no federal law, or there's no hate speech laws, and you're fucking dumb. Like just if you want to circle jerk about how all penises are weapons or whatever, then just go watch someone else, okay? What about those who need to be separated from general population for their own safety? Those people, I touched on that. People who need to be separated from the general population for their own safety is usually people that are scared to be in jail because they're like child molesters or something like that, and that sucks. But they need to have some kind of like protective custody pod, fuck. Something more than just whatever. Let's see. I fucking forget what button it is. Okay. Got him. Was your position on private correctional facilities? It's kind of cringe. Not gonna lie. Like, I think that having private prisons is really weird. I don't really know a whole lot about it, like enough about it to say one way or the other, to be honest. I just think it's weird to have a business model where you're in the business of keeping other people captive on behalf of the state. I think that's fucking weird. I think that the state should be handling that shit. And private prisons are incredibly fucking, like, they should not be run on a profit. I think that prisons should be like the USPS or something. It's a service provided to you by the state. Not to you, but it's a service provided by the state, and it should not be operated on a profit motive. I think that shit's kind of fucking weird. Because then you get lobbying groups that want whatever. Do prisons try to rehabilitate prisoners, though, counseling and education, or is that only smaller facilities? Here lately, it's been a lot better. It used to be strictly retributive, like you are in this hole because you did a bad thing, and if you don't want to be in a hole, then you don't do the bad thing. But they're a lot better today about having people go to like college. Like there's people that go to prison and come out college educated, and then and get a job and end up better off than any of us will ever fucking be. That's certainly a thing. Oh shit. That happened to my stepdad, actually. My stepdad went in for armed robbery, and he did a couple of years, and he came out with a bachelor's degree, and now he's making six figures as a marketing manager for an insulation company. Dude's fucking banking. Like, and all with that degree that he got while he was in prison, which I think is based and not cringe. Is trying to do everything that he can to get prisoners out of prison and not coming back. It's pretty cool, and I think that if we didn't criminalize addiction, if drug addiction wasn't a crime, that would cut down on a lot of people in jails. I have a pretty poor understanding of U.S. prisons since I moved over here to be with CL. Oh, is that my brother-in-law? To be with CL? I think CL is my twin, my sibling. So is it true that these prisons give inmates jobs to try and ready them for the outside again? Nice. And yes, they have this, most jails and prisons are like, you get paid $25 a day to go towards your fines, but you can double that if you work. When you go to prison, it's different. Fuck. Oh, I fucked up. Oh, fuck. Anyway, if you go to prison, then you have to get a job or you go to solitary. Like, you have to have a job. You have to have something to do where you get up every day and do that kind of thing. Fuck. No. So which categories are which categories are under the hate crimes laws? U.S. different prisons in different states. Watch the LGBT maps for all citizen maps. So there are differences. I'm sure that there's differences between different countries. I'm talking about U.S. Okay, I don't know about Canada prisons, but even then, I don't believe that. I just don't believe it because like dumb fucks like dumb fucks like Jordan Peterson were saying that people were going to jail for like accidentally misgendering somebody or whatever. I'm more for founding safety, healthcare, and education to inmates. I mean, yeah, cool, that's great. But this whole we should be scared of motherfucker. We should be scared of trans people in prisons or whatever. He's reloading. There. That we should be scared of trans women in prisons because, if somebody misgenders them, then they're going to get a longer sentence. That's just horseshit, dude. Sorry. Oh, fuck. I still haven't got an answer from this other person that I was supposed to talk to. Then again, it is an hour early. Bam. It would be great. And they do what they can, but whenever you lock a bunch of assholes up in a concrete box, you're going to have, some violence. You're going to have some problems. That's just a thing that happens. I've misgendered plenty of people. All I get is a stern talking to. Oh, shit. It's just the way that read. Like, you just go around making a point to misgender people or whatever. Trans whites. Why not trans lefts? See... I made a joke one time about that, like left-handed people, trans lefts, that right-handed people are not, and like, you know what, I kind of, there is a parallel there. Where the fuck is this guy? There is a parallel there that, the number of trans, or not trans, but the number of right-handed people fell dramatically once people stopped saying that you have to be right-handed. The number of right-handed people fell dramatically, and then we're kind of seeing that with trans numbers now. That like now that being trans is kind of like coming into not to vogue. It's the wrong word. Now that it's becoming more acceptable, we're getting to a point where like the number of people who are openly identifying as trans is increasing. And then you have dipshits like Abigail Schreier that are just all like, look at the number of trans people are increasing. That means that it's seducing our daughters or some shit like that. When it's just fundamentally just not how things work. Gun rights are trans rights. A well-trained and armed population is more polite to each other. Sure. You know what? Sure. Ambidextrous people for the win? For sure, dude. But, I think that we live in the goddamn United States of America. I think that when you're born, that you're assigned a gender and a weapons class. That's what really should happen. And then it should be, if you're more of a grenader or something like that, but you actually consider yourself to be like an explosives expert, then you were assigned weapons class at birth, but you are trans weapons class. That makes perfect sense to me. I like it. That other person messaged me. Hang on. I don't have any enemies around. We're good. Where are you? Okay. When I call, I am live right now. So no sensitive information. You believe what you believe. It's so sad that inmates don't get healthcare medicine. What the fuck are you talking about? They get it for free, you fucking moron. Whenever you go into a prison, like even in the United States, prisoners get oh fuck, hang on. Give me 1 second. I'm yelling at chat. If you go to prison, then it's like, even in the United States, it's a $3 copay, and you get basically whatever the fuck you want. It's like $8 for like surgeries and like $3 for medication. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about? You're an idiot. Just get out of my chat, okay? Just leave. You're a fucking moron. Go read a book, loser. Okay. We are on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's going on?
Hi.
So I believe we talked over YouTube comments, and I can't exactly remember. As you can see, there's like a million people, not literally, but there's a lot of people, so I don't exactly remember who you are or what your contention was. So, what's going on?
Okay. I am a cis woman.
Hello.
And I have sympathies for the woman in the video, but I
Okay.
also have major issues with both sides, with both groups, and with you.
Okay.
But first, I want to say something. The gentleman that you had on yesterday, I was a little disappointed that you allowed the focus to stay on children for so long.
Okay.
And I just want to say something about children before we start. I think it's really, I always give the side eye to cis men who are passionate suddenly about women's issues or even children. Because I know that the majority of children, 90% of children who are sexually abused are abused by someone they know.
True.
And it's usually people who have unfettered access to them. So that's usually going to be parents, older siblings, uncles,
Right.
stepfathers, stepbrothers, grandfathers, uncles, friends of the family, teachers, coaches,
Right. I agree with you.
all of those things. So to me, I think this whole thing about them inserting there's no children left over for the pedophile in the spa after you go through all these people. And I wonder, in some cases, they're trying to throw the whole QAnon thing, they're trying to throw this issue of what's happening to children onto the transgender community, when just a little bit of research will show you that the majority of those issues are happening in churches and families and communities, not by trans people. And so I just wanted to get that off the table. And it's just fishy to me that they're throwing it around. Maybe they're trying to, send the smoke away from themselves, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah,
I've got a lot of problems with the QAnon people, and and most of their criticism seems to be, it's just like everything that they're saying, every single political point that they have is like I said, I've said this several times, that they're like, pedophiles exist, it's a thing that happens, but it's I am not bought into this hysteria where everything stems from pedophilia or everything has to be equated to pedophilia. It's a waste of everyone's time, and it raises the stakes to an unnecessary level in pretty much every case. And so when people, like in this incident where a woman was concerned that she saw a penis, if it actually happened, it looks like it's gonna turn out that it didn't actually happen. It's the evidence is stacking up that it may have been staged, but we don't know for sure quite yet. But
for the purposes of this, I'd like to put myself in the position of that woman as if it did happen, just for an exercise.
Right, we're just going to assume that it happened.
Right.
Because I've made a video talking about how it was fake, and so I would.
And it very well may be, but my issue isn't whether it's fake or not, but just that particular situation.
Right. We'll talk about that. Go ahead.
But I wanted to also say that I think a lot of these people are using children as shields, or cowards are hiding behind their concern for children and sexual abuse. Just come out and say you don't like transgender people. Why throw children in front of you and use that as the reason that you're fighting in front of WeSpa? When I think, because if they really cared about sexual abuse against children, you'd be looking at your neighbors, you'd be up at the church, you'd be up at the school, making sure, because those are the places where 90% of sexual assaults are happening with children. You wouldn't be looking in the spa anyway. Okay. But do you have a question you want to ask me, or?
I don't remember. I don't honestly remember what what your contention was. So I'm not entirely sure. I guess I had an issue with you not being able to sympathize even a little bit with a cis woman in that situation. And I think I was listening to the live a little bit. I really do think you have a blind spot when it comes to women and what women experience, and you taking it seriously. I really do, because I just heard you say that women living in this patriarchy, who are subjected to sexual assault and rape, perpetuate rape culture because they look at men as rapists. So you're saying women perpetuate rape culture, not the rapist, because it almost looks like you were saying the man wouldn't rape us unless the man wouldn't rape us if we didn't see him as a rapist. Do you think that there might be more than one factor that leads into rape culture?
I think when you rape somebody, it has nothing to do with the person that you're raping.
Okay, I'm not saying that the woman I never said that the woman was responsible for her own rape. I'm saying that when I say rape culture, I'm not talking about literally rapes. When I'm talking about rape culture, I'm talking about this kind of ambiguity in consent, where lying to get sex is okay, or misrepresenting yourself to get sex is okay, or just the aversion to talking about consent or enthusiastic consent or anything like that. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about literally rapes. I am understanding that rape culture is a little more broad than literally rape. Does that make sense?
Well, what you literally said, because I wrote it down, was women are conditioning men to be rapists. That's a quote. You can back it up and see it. And I think it's because, and it's not just that makes me think you have this blind spot. I think you said something about women should just, if they see a penis, because I would be that woman. I wouldn't have, if I were in WeSpa and I saw male genitals in what I perceive to be a space for where penises shouldn't be, I wouldn't have reacted like that woman did. I probably would have just, like what you were saying, I would pack my shit and that wouldn't be the spa for me. But why would I feel that way? It's because we live in this very toxic patriarchy where women are vulnerable to sexual assault. And I feel like you are annoyed with us for reacting that way instead of being angry at the patriarchy that created this fear that is well-founded.
Okay. Do you think this is another question that I'm having, is that if that really was the case, if that was the problem that people were having, why is it that they don't ever talk about that, or like the discomfort with seeing a penis? Why is it always trans women are not real, they are men in dresses, and they are pretending to be women in order to rape you? Like, these are the things that they're saying. So if the main narrative or the main concern was that I am uncomfortable in the presence of a penis, and I am 100% certain, I've said this several times, that being uncomfortable in the presence of a penis due to the rape culture that we live in doesn't make you a bad person, that we can work past that, we can improve society in order to make that go away. Like, we can address those concerns. But the problem is that that's not what people say. What people say is trans people aren't real, and that they are pretending, and that they are perverts, or they are going out of they are doing this specifically to gain access to women's spaces in order to victimize them. Do you understand what I mean?
I do. But first of all, you're changing what you said. I recall you saying several times that if a woman has a problem with seeing the penis in there, she should get over it. Your words were get over it. It wasn't, oh, we need to work on changing society so that women don't feel threatened when they see men or assume men are going to rape them. You didn't say that. You said they should get over it. But I think the people who are saying that trans women are not women, I don't believe that. I think trans women are women. But I do think that predators put in a lot of work to be able to get into the spaces that they want to get into in order to get to their victims. There are people who have become, I think you've heard about this, particularly in the case of children. People will go become a priest to have access to children. I mean, they'll go to school and study for years to be able to be in
I reject
this.
This. I reject this.
No.
Go
Just let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
I do think that's easy to look up. There are predators who are Cub Scout leaders.
Okay,
in order
wait.
To have
Okay,
access to
so
children.
then you
Not
are saying
all
what
of
I think
them.
you're saying. Then you are saying what I think you're saying. I reject this outright, that people are becoming priests in order to have access to children.
No, you didn't let me finish my statement. I said there are predators who are willing to do a lot of work in order to be able to be in a trusted position to have unfettered access to whatever victim that they want to have. Let me finish, for God's sakes. I'm not saying all of them are. I'm not saying all priests are pedophiles. I'm saying there are some sick individuals who will do things in order to get access to whatever perverted thing that they want to do. I do not think trans women are running around here. I think they're women. I don't think they're necessarily predators. I think anyone can be a predator. And because that's another problem that I kind of have with you, is that I think you see in black and white. I think you see trans women as perfect beings, and I think you're the opposite with women. I think there are trans women who are misogynistic, just like I think there are cis women who are transphobes. I think they exist on both sides.
Absolutely.
And I think that in the situation of the dressing room, if there was a discussion between women, trans and cis, to resolve that, I think it would be perfect because of the history and the reality and the presence of what happens to women in terms of sexual assault. Flashing someone is a sexual assault without even touching them.
We're flashing someone is this, even in the story. Hang on, even in the story of what happened. What?
You don't let me finish, because I'm not saying that person committed a sexual assault, because you won't let me finish my statement. That is a woman in a woman. If we don't know what story is correct, I'm assuming that was a trans woman in the room. That was not a sexual assault. I'm trying to give you the perspective of a cis woman, and you won't listen. Cis woman.
If you just want to say your piece, and I'm not supposed to ask questions, I'll just sit back.
No, but I'm just saying, let me finish my piece. That's all.
Okay.
You interrupt me before I finish the speech, and then you pick on it and you take it and run with it when that wasn't even my point.
Okay, I'm just trying to take
point
things one thing at a time because I'm not trying to like dispel an entire narrative all at one time. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay. What my point is, you wanted the perspective of a cis woman. I'm
Yes.
a cis woman. I've experienced sexual assault. I'm not comfortable with males in a space that or being in a place where I'm not going to see male genitalia. That's just the reality of it. And I was going to say, as this woman, if I can sympathize with a woman if they saw someone with a penis in a space that they're not expecting to see it, that they would react because that feels like a sexual assault. I'm not saying it is a sexual assault. It feels like a sexual assault. So what I was going to say is that if we women, trans and cis, are going to share a space, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask and share with the community, first of all, because they don't necessarily know what we go through, and they're not necessarily not misogynistic, to understand that me not wanting to see that is not frivolous and get over it. There's a whole thousands of years of what we've gone through that have brought us to this point, and living in this society where it makes us uncomfortable. Maybe they I go to the gym, to the spa, and I don't walk around naked. How about we not show ourselves? I don't think it's inconvenient, because if I'm in a pool where there are children in some space, I cover, because I'm out of respect for the children. So maybe out of respect for some cis women's experiences that could be triggering, simply let's share this space together, but let's have some guide rules so that everybody feels safe and comfortable. Not that there's anything wrong with a penis, not that there's anything wrong with a trans woman with a penis, but if we're going to be together, we have to talk to each other and educate each other about each other.
Okay. But if you're okay, so if you are going into a place where you know that there is trans people, because it is a trans friendly space, and you know that there's going to be nudity, then you are putting yourself in that position. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you are putting yourself in that position and you see a penis, then yeah, I mean, either you're not going to that spa anymore, or you're going to have to get over it.
See, I hate you saying get over it. Because why don't I go to okay, let's say this is extreme, but not to me though. If someone likes to say the N-word, I'm not talking to you. I'm singing it from a rap song. I'm not even directing it at you. Get over it. No, I'm not going to get over it. I think when you say get over it, it's just you're telling me that you either are willfully ignorant or you just don't know anything about cis women. We're not going to get over trauma. We're not going to get over things that trigger us. We're not. So to say get over it is so callous. I just, you seem like a really, I mean, when it comes to trans women, you're riding hard, but when it comes to cis women, you're not all there. And I don't know why.
I don't understand why you would subject yourself to trauma. That's what I don't understand. That avoiding triggers is your responsibility. It is not the responsibility.
But it's not a responsibility. I'm talking about working together so we can share that space as women.
Okay.
Is it a hardship when you go to a public pool and there are children to cover up your genitals? Because you would trigger people. But if you want to work with people, you do certain things. We accommodate people all the time. Maybe I want to go outside naked on this hot day, but I don't. I cover myself because there are people in public that I might trigger. I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
It's a small thing. It's 2 minutes in the dressing room before you go or come back in.
Okay, so this is my problem with this kind of thing, is that you're saying that going outside and being nudity might trigger someone. This is why I feel like these conversations don't lead anywhere. It's because we have adopted the language of trauma for literally everything, and it just makes these conversations so cancerous. It's just
rape and sexual assault is not a made-up trauma.
I'm not saying it's made up. I didn't say that it was made up.
I'm not talking about women who don't like uncircumcised penises I'm talking about women who 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted. 1 in 6 men. Okay, this is not a very small population of women who may have experienced sexual trauma. This is a large percentage of women who may have experienced sexual trauma trying to share a space. And if I were a trans woman, I would get that. I wouldn't be arguing like you are. Like you're. I don't know what it is with you and women. I'm sorry to imply that, but just from listening to you, and you not even giving an inch, and calling being a woman. Oh my God, I'm speechless.
Okay.
I don't
think I can be more clear that if
yeah,
the general
to assist women's experience. It's like I have to get over it, but the trans woman can do whatever she wants, but the cis woman just has to get over everything.
The cis woman can do what the cis woman can do whatever she wants to.
Not traumatized, but these are both disadvantaged groups, women and trans women.
True.
Okay?
I'm not denying that.
Right, but it sounds like you have no empathy for cis women's viewpoint.
I'm saying that if I actually have said before on the stream when I was talking to the one guy before the conversation that you listened to, I said that like it's probably a good idea to disclose genitalia. I have people saying that was wrong. Those people are fucking stupid, right? If it's not the way that it should be, but it's the way the world is, okay? That's what I'm saying. It's the way the world is, that if you put yourself in a position to like, for instance, if a trans woman is approaching a man and she does not disclose her genitalia to him, and then they get to down to the hibbity dibbity and it turns out that she has a penis, I can understand that there's going to be a problem there. That's probably not the way it should be, but it's the way that it is. So he definitely should, or she definitely should be disclosing her genitalia to him. It sucks, but that's just the reality of it, because if you don't, you're putting yourself in that position. Then just in the same way that whenever you're going through a green light, you look left and you look right. It's stupid to have to be able to have to check my if people are going to be running a red light or not, but you drive defensively because there are drunk drivers out there or something like that. There are certain things that you have to give up in order to live in society, right? And if you are going to a place where there is going to be nude penises, then you are putting yourself in that position. Like, she could have gone anywhere else. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I told you already that if that were me, and for some reason I didn't know that. Now I understand and I support the trans community. Not every cis woman does.
I understand that.
So they may not expect. They may have even a stronger reaction than I would have. To be fair, I probably would not come back unless. Maybe, I don't know if I would come back or not, but if okay, let's just say I'm me 10 to 20 years ago. I would see that and I would say, oh, this is not the place for me.
Right.
But there are cis women who will not feel comfortable because male genitalia aren't just a body part. It has more resonance than just being a body part, which is why I took offense to the guy in the video telling her, "Oh, I'm sorry you saw a penis." Again, that's just another man. Who's saying something so frivolous and lighthearted about trauma that we go through as girls and women. Get over it. That get over it attitude. Why not the trans woman get over it? Why not the trans woman go to the male room and get over the fact that she's going to be uncomfortable there? I don't want anybody to have to get over, for some stranger's comment, get over any trauma that they have. It is what it is. And so we as trans and cis women, it's our discussion really to try to understand each other. For trans women to learn not to be anti-misogynist, and for cis women to learn to be anti-transphobes. And try to work it out together. It's not always going to work, but I think the compromise for me would be if we understood each other, we would know what a huge, because of the trauma that 1 in 3, 3 and 6 women, or got the stat, sorry. It's just understanding each other. We don't understand each other. I think you don't understand women. I think a lot of other people don't understand women. And I think the big brouhaha that happened down at the spa was just all those, cis men showing up like that is suspect. They didn't come for children. They just came to attack transphobes. And that, I wish that would have gone down as just a powerful discussion between trans and cis women. And I wish trans women would show up for cis women and cis women would show up for trans women. And it just doesn't happen right now. And that's why we don't understand each other. And that's why we're confused. And that's why we're afraid. But you dismissing one side completely, this either or, that's all the dialogue I've been seeing, except for one trans woman, is that either you're on this side or that side, and there's nobody standing in the middle, because there is a middle.
I feel like I'm in the middle. That's the thing. No. Is that I feel like we are, that I'm in the middle. Like I don't know. It's weird because I get shit all the time, because of my takes on, for instance, like gender.
You have to talk about women. You don't even sound like you want to know. You just dismissed it with "get over it." You're not in the middle.
If you are going into public and you're going into a place where there's going to be triggers, or that there could possibly be triggers, then that's on you all day long. Like that's just the way the outside world works, and I'm sorry.
But you're assuming that the women who go there, you're just making a lot of assumptions.
I'm not making any assumptions at all.
I think your first response is to say, get over it. If a woman came to me, if I was the manager of V Spa, and a woman came over and said, "Oh my God, there's a penis in the room," and I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. This is a transgender spa, and I'm sorry that you saw that. I know that was probably really traumatic for you, but let me explain to you that," and I would explain the policy. I would apologize. I would say, I would be compassionate for her, because it's not a made-up thing in her head. I'm not going to assume that that's a made-up thing in her head. I'm going to explain to her what the policy is and how we do it here, and I'm so sorry, and here are some other places you can go. I'm definitely going to say that.
But here's the problem, is that they don't say that. The problem is that they're not saying that. And I
said in the very beginning, I have problems with both sides of this issue. Okay. I think both people are...
I understand. And your concerns about seeing it here, okay. You are concerned about penises because...
No, I'm not.
Okay. You're not concerned about penises? There's no trauma related to seeing penises at all?
I'm concerned about the patriarchy. I'm concerned about living in this toxic environment, not women who, because they're scared of men, make men into rapists. I don't believe that. I think rapists are rapists, and not because their victims make them rapists. My concern is that we're living in a society where...
I never said that their victims made them. I never ever said that, and I know I didn't say that. Okay, so we're just.
Go back. You said
I can go back to it, but I am not. I
wrote it down.
Listen, I have never once ever said that the victim is responsible for their rape. I'm talking about society. Hang on, I said that society is yes.
I'm who are uncomfortable with seeing men and being scared of men and thinking men are going to rape them are conditioning men to be rapists. And I'll leave it there, because you can always go back and rewind and hear it for yourself, because I wrote it down. I'm shocked.
Okay,
and it just said to me that you have no empathy when it comes to women. I wish you wrote as hard for both groups. I wish you wrote hard for women as a group, then you write hard for trans women.
In this case, on this particular topic, women are being shitheads, okay? Like, they are not saying, "Oh, I live in a patriarchy and seeing a penis would be traumatic for me," or something like that.
What do you mean by women?
I'm talking about TERFs and all of the conservatives.
Trans women are women.
I know. I'm talking about TERFs. When I say women, I'm talking about the women who are complaining about this. Then they are saying they are not saying what you're saying. Okay, That's what I'm responding to.
You are.
Is women
you're
who are
them a
being.
monolith. You're making them a monolith.
Oh
Some
my
of them
God!
are.
I can't.
And some-
I just can't. If I say, look, I am not going to sit here and like qualify and generalize, or excuse me, I'm not going to sit here and qualify myself 15,000 times when we all know we're talking in generalities. Okay, so it's just a waste of breath to sit here and just say, well, a certain percentage of women, like every single time, you know who I'm talking about, and there's just it's no point to any of that crap.
Don't assume. See, again, you don't know what I think. You don't know what I'm perceiving, and I'm understanding you. I didn't. I was confused when you said women because you know that trans women are women, and I was wondering which group you were talking about. I should have known it was cis because you obviously don't care about the cis. But
no, I'm talking about TERFs and the conservative women who have blown this up into a huge thing.
Okay, the conservative women. That makes sense because that's not all cis women. All cis women aren't conservative.
Oh my God, this not all stuff is so, it's just a waste of everyone's time.
All is called stereotyping.
And stereotyping is fine.
Stereotypes?
Yes, stereotyping is fine.
What I'm going to say is there are trans women who are being assholes, just like there are cis women.
True. You are absolutely correct.
I haven't heard. You would not. What would you? Your head would explode if you said anything that wasn't glowing about the trans women.
I just agreed with you, and literally, I just went on a tirade about how there's this militant LGBT community.
Drag it out of you.
What? No, I have, before you even entered this call, I was on a tirade about how there is this militant subsection of LGBT activists who are absolute shitheads, who are fucking morons that go out of their way to cause problems. I have acknowledged this, that there is a subsection of a subsection. I get that. And there's a reason why I don't...
In holes. So you're splitting and dissecting that part of the trans community, but you can't sift and dissect the cis part. You see what I'm saying? You were just yelling at me for not being able to say all of them. But here you are saying.
Are we going to get hung up on this the whole time? If I have to.
Let's move on.
Okay, fine. So TERFs are being shitheads about this. It's not that they're concerned about seeing a penis. The TERFs and conservative women are being morons. They are being shitheads about. They're not saying that there's a concern about the patriarchy or anything like that. In fact, I don't think I don't know. TERFs for sure. TERFs for sure believe that there's a patriarchy and a rape culture and all that stuff, but that trans women are like by default rapists or something. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay, then what is it what is the problem that they have?
I'm not a TERF. I don't
I'm not saying you're a TERF. I'm not saying you're a TERF.
I don't think trans women are rapists or potential rapists. I don't think that.
But if I have said also several times on this very stream that if women were uncomfortable in the presence of penis due to the rape culture and the patriarchy, well, I didn't say patriarchy, but I said due to the shut up. I said that it was in this rape culture that if someone was uncomfortable in the presence of a penis, then it doesn't make them a bad person, that there is ways that we can build up and we can dispel myths, I'm pretty sure I said, and that we can fix that there is something to go from there. But saying that trans women are men who are rapists, that is just a lie. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, of course. That's duh.
So
I never said.
So I have said that women who are uncomfortable in the presence of a penis because of rape culture, patriarchy, and all that crap, I have said that there is ways that we can reconcile those feelings.
I have heard you say more often than that. The only time I heard you say that was when I first said that you said the whole "get over it" thing.
Okay, this is when I was talking to Miss Helga.
So many times that it's. I don't know.
This is when I was talking to Miss Helga, and she was talking about being in the whatever. This was in a previous conversation, and yes, we have to be able to. And when I say, okay, wait, hold on, I think I understand the miscommunication here. When I'm saying get over it, I'm talking about right now, today. If you want to go into that spa where there will be penises, you're just going to have to get over it. But in general, then we will have to come to a better understanding, and we will have to change social conditions in order to help women and help trans people and everybody get along better. Like, I understand that what you're saying. And so when I say get over it, I'm talking about right now, descriptively today. If you want to go into a place that is LGBTQ friendly and, quote, not for the modest, then you are consenting to seeing a penis by virtue of walking through the door. And that's on you.
And luckily now they'll know, with all of this information about that particular spa, that the cis women who are, for personal reasons, not comfortable with seeing it, and the cis women who are transphobe, stay away, go to your own thing. And yeah, I get that. And for the trans women who choose to stay, and to be conscious of what impact the male organs have on cis women.
Okay.
I think we both have to, trans women and cis women have to come together. I mean, it's a negotiation to get along in society. I mean, it just is. We give and take from each other. But I feel like you're implying that there's no compromise that a trans woman would have to make in this situation. It's either get out, and not the trans woman to get out because the women, are uncomfortable with them. It's the cis women get out because, why not? I didn't see you thinking the two can come together and somehow resolve it. It was always that cis woman can go somewhere else and get over it.
It's
when the trans, you could say the same for trans women, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying they both should stay if they want, if they can, if they're comfortable, if they're emotionally able to be in a space like that, whether they're trans or cis.
If a woman goes into a spa where there's nudity and she sees a penis, what is the assumption? What is the source of the discomfort?
You have no idea?
No, I have an idea.
Well, tell me. You tell me.
I am.
Why might that woman? Because it's not all women. All women aren't the same. Some women could see dick all day and not be a problem.
Right.
But for this particular woman you've created, who does have a problem, what do you think?
You don't have it. Okay, I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to bring it all together because this whole having to qualify all of my generalities is a huge waste of my time.
I didn't just ask you to qualify anything.
I know you just did, but what I'm getting at is that you said you go into a spa and you see a penis and it makes you uncomfortable. Why is that? I'm asking you.
I already told you that, but I'm curious. I already told you that. I think I told you that already. But maybe you weren't listening again. I don't know. But you, in all of the experiences that you've had with women, what I would just like to flip it and say, what do you think?
What do I think?
Because if it's nothing or you don't understand, it just verifies the fact that I told you seem to have no knowledge base of what some women feel, cis women feel and think.
No, it's the idea that men are rapists by default, and so seeing a penis is like puts you on edge. Like there is about a rape going to happen because I've seen a penis now. That's the kind of shit that is really that doesn't. You don't feel like I have any grounds to be annoyed by that kind of attitude?
Yeah, but not at the woman.
Why not?
Maybe you need to be mad at the society that created this woman who is fearful of men, and not all women. This particular woman that we're talking about. It's almost like if someone is abused and I raise my arm, or some soldier comes back from the war and he has PTSD, and I make a loud noise and he freaks out and I'm annoyed. I need to understand why that person is and have compassion for where that's coming from. I'm not going to be annoyed because I see a symptom of trauma in somebody and I'm just going to be annoyed with that without having compassion for somebody.
Do you think that it would be different if the woman was uncomfortable and she was like, I'm gonna go, and that was it? Or do you think that there was because I don't think that would be a problem. I think that if there was just like
she didn't. I agree that she didn't handle that right, and she was somebody who was a transphobe. She doesn't know anything about. I didn't know. I'm sure you weren't born understanding trans issues. I know I wasn't.
Oh no, absolutely not.
It's deep, and it's twisty. And
it's confusing. Yeah,
I'm still learning, and I still have questions that I want to ask, but I'd rather Google it. But it's a road, and I even have even in terms of race, I have compassion for some ignorant person who has no idea that everybody is a human being, not just the people in their group. And I'm hoping for that this person is on a journey. So. That woman was ignorant, and that's pathetic, and I feel sorry for her, and I'm angry at her, and I hope that somehow, some way, she starts to. You know what I wanted to say? I want to see society look like the deck of the Starship Enterprise. If they got along with people who weren't even the same species, who God knows how many penises. I want to live in that society where anybody who is qualified and helpful, or anybody can run the ship. Doesn't matter what species they are, what they look like, as long as they're qualified. I want to live in that world, but right now we don't. We live and I think to combat women like her, if I knew her, I probably would want to get closer to her and try to do my best to slyly educate her about trans people. The little bit I know, if she's too angry or scared to be close to a trans person, I would want to be that bridge for her.
Do you think that there's some people that just can't be reached?
I don't like to think that, because I grew up in a very homophobic, family.
Right.
I grew up in it took me going to college to see a lot of things, to grow in a lot of ways. And I think I'm pretty compassionate, open right now, but there are things I think now that in 10 years are going to be super, super wrong. And I'm going to realize, and they're really going to be wrong. But right now I'm feeling comfortable with it. And if it happened and I saw it, I would fight, I would get in the streets, and I would feel like an ass 10 years from now. But I hope that people are on a journey, but there are people who aren't, because they don't have access to people who think differently, who are different. They insulate themselves. Mm-hmm. So, and they won't change, I think, because of that. Because as human beings, we're naturally curious. But I think when you isolate, then you can't grow. But I wish I knew that woman. I wish she was my aunt or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think we're basically on the same page then. I'm not even sure where the contention is, because I do think that if someone is uncomfortable in the presence of like a penis or something like that, I don't think that makes them a bad person. But if they react the way that woman did, then yes, I think we're in bad person territory. Not bad person as in this person is irredeemable or whatever. I'm saying that like right then, that is a bad thing that they did, and they shouldn't do that, even if it's a product of trauma. That your traumas are not justification for like bigoted actions. Does that make sense?
It does. And I agree with you about the woman, but I feel the exact same way about that man who came to her and said, "You're a dick," and, "Oh, I'm sorry you saw a penis." To me, he's a dick as well. Well, I shouldn't say he's a dick. He's a jerk. I think I'm equally disgusted with aspects on both sides of what went down at least.
I can definitely sympathize with that position, that it would be, if she was having a traumatic moment, even if she was a bad person, it's probably not okay to invalidate that her traumas or whatever. But
she didn't have, she was obnoxious for sure. And she
But
was
then again,
ignorant
it
to the
wasn't.
fact.
But then again, even then, it wasn't about the penis or anything. It was about the existence of trans people in general. It had nothing to do with seeing a penis.
Yeah, I think she was a transphobe.
And that's.
But I think it could be both. Again, I don't think in black and white. I think there's texture to everything.
I don't
it
think
could be didn't
I
want to
don't-
see the penis.
I
and
don't think
could
it
be-
happened though. That's my thing. Is that I don't think that it happened.
Right. I don't. We don't know. We don't know.
Okay. I will.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. But what I do know is that myself as a cis woman and cis women that I know would be feeling what she's feeling. We may not have reacted the same way she reacted, but something she was expressing was real. I didn't like the fact that she dragged children into it, and that I don't think the issue had anything to do with children, to tell you the truth. I think it was just people hiding behind that, and then the QAnon and the other people picked up on it, and then the radical, violent people from both sides came out. Oh, I sound like Trump when I said that.
I understand what you're saying.
I think the worst of each side blew it into something that could have been an opportunity for cis and trans women to come closer together, because I don't think they're together. I don't think they're working in sync. I think that, there were some trans women that spoke at the Women's March, and maybe some cis women go to Pride Day. I don't think it should be smattering like that. If we're women, we're women. And I think trans women who, I think they have incorporated a bit of misogyny from the culture that they got before they transitioned. I think they need to work on shedding that. And I think our side needs to work on shedding, things too. And because we just aren't working together. And that's sad to me. If we're women, let's be women together.
I agree, but that kind of means that sometimes you're going to go into a place, together. And I think, I don't know, I'm having a hard time with this one because I don't want to say like get over it, that there's no reason for the trauma or whatever, or that there's no reason for them to have these feelings and whatnot, but I think that it's just gonna have to be the way it is. You know what I mean? So like if a trans woman goes into a women's restroom or a women's section of the spa or something like that, like they do these things because and I understand that the penis may make a woman uncomfortable, but I just don't think that there's anything that should be done. I don't know if there should be anything done about that. You know what I mean?
Well, luckily,
I don't know where the compromise would be. How is it that we would either accept them as women and therefore they can go into women's spaces, or they're not women and they don't go into women's spaces? I'm not sure where the compromise could possibly be there.
I think they're women and they should go into women's spaces, and cis women should know what that looks like, and trans men should know what that looks like. And when we're in that space together, because we should care about each other as women, make allowances for each other to exist in that space, which is something we do all the time. We make allowances in the workplace. We make allowances in our home with our family. We make allowances when we are with our friends. We can do the same here. We're not asking you not to come. We're just gonna, how hard is it when you have stalls to undress and undress in? There are cis women who don't dress and undress around each other, and there are trans women who don't dress and undress around each other. It's not a hard thing. It's not a weird thing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
And
but
the good thing about it is that when we allow a space where we can coexist together, then we talk and we become friends and we get to understand each other. And the transphobia starts to slip away. And then that cis woman goes home and talks to, the girls she's raising or the friends she has, and that trans person goes home and educates his trans friends on issues that affect cis women, and then we can get to the Starship Enterprise. But if you're just gonna be a stalemate, and I think that any opportunity that we have to put these two groups together, the better. But it's not going to happen by forcing them or ignoring the needs and concerns of either group.
Well, I don't know, because whenever you say the needs of women, it's going to be the need to not feel concerned in the presence of a person who is assigned male at birth, right?
And I told you that not all, again, I have to say all because I don't speak in generalities, not all women are going to be uncomfortable with that. That's why I said, now that this situation has happened, the transphobes who don't want a part of that are not going to be there. The women who find male genitalia that they are not expecting, triggering, are not going to be there. So there are women who can be in the presence of male genitalia on a woman in a gym. There are women who are fine with that. And
right.
and the women are fine with that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Right.
But it's like if there was it would be like a Vietnam vet who was like triggered really bad by like loud noises or something like that, going to a fireworks show. That and so if someone has that trauma where they are going to become uncontrollable and start, pull out their phone, start screaming at everybody and all that nonsense, then these people need a safe space. They need to go wherever they can.
Yeah, go ahead.
They can go to their safe space or whatever. I'm saying that if someone is traumatized to the point where they can't like go outside, or they need like the public to change their behaviors in order to protect their feelings or whatever, I just don't know if these people should go outside. I don't know, because there's
so oh God, I think you got some growing to do. You're saying that they're just stay away. Again, I don't think you have a middle ground, because I could say the same. I could be having this argument about trans women and you would say I was wrong. If this trans woman feels traumatized because she goes into a room and everybody freaks out, then she needs to go home.
Yes, she does need to go home.
No, she doesn't.
If she
doesn't need to go home.
so
Neither one of them needs to go home if they want to be in that space. If we're going to get, if just like when Black people integrated lunch counters, sounds like you would have been like, oh well, you need to go home. No, they don't need to go home. They need to sit there, and they had to endure that bullshit. They had to endure, violence and stuff like that. And that's not even what was going to happen in this dressing room. But I know my people have, said, fuck you, I'm not going to get over it, and I'm not going to go home. I know I'm not welcome here in this counter or on this bus or whatever. That's what happens.
Okay, hang on. There's a problem with your analogy. The trans women are the Black people in this analogy.
Either one to me could be the person in that analogy.
No.
You tell me what you think. What? I don't get it.
We're gonna have to do a different analogy, because
I think. Can I not be right on what
I reject your analogy? That's what I'm telling you. Is that
that's better. No, that's not right.
It is not right.
Well, I mean, no, that's not what I'm thinking. What my thinking is not that the trans women are the Black people. Either group could be that group, and I would say to either group, you don't have to go home. There has to be a fight. We're in a fight right now.
Yes,
for a lot of issues.
For trans people.
And who goes home? Does the Proud Boys go home? Does Antifa go home? Does the average person who's just pissed off and out there, fighting go home? No. But hopefully, Proud Boys would go home, or anybody who's violent would go home. But
I feel like oppression has intersections, right? Do you believe in intersectionality?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. We're on the same page there. I believe that if trans women being where they're supposed to be in the women's sections of places, then someone objecting to that, then they need to go home.
You're objecting to cis women staying.
Yes. If a cis woman has a problem with trans women in women's spaces, then yes, The cis
I've
woman
only-
who has a problem needs to go home. And needs to figure out how to get over it. That's my problem. That is what I'm saying.
Do you think you have a blind spot
No.
when it?
The more that you are talking about it, the more sure I become, especially with your black people.
You get women. You get cis women.
No, I
That's
don't.
That's what I was going to ask. I don't know if I finished the question. Do you feel you have a blind spot when it comes to cis women?
No, I knew you were going to ask, and I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I understand what the problem is, but if you have such an issue with being in the presence of a male person that is a woman, then that you have to have the establishment cater to your personal traumas, then yes, you need to go home. Because I used your analogy, if white people are in an establishment, but now black people are allowed into that establishment, and the white people have a problem with it, then the white people need to go home. The white people need to understand that the world is changing, that society is improving, I guess, or it's just changing in general. Then
what I would like to see, using the diner analogy, I don't know how much you know about civil rights history or not, I don't know. But if you've seen the images of the counter, there are also white men sitting there with the black men and women, and they are enduring the abuse just like they're making a stand together.
Right.
I don't see that here. My point is that if everybody goes home, nobody makes a stand together. And so my point is, there will be women.
Not everybody goes home.
That's why I know the transphobes will go off. The women who, because through no fault of their own, have trauma about that will go off. And I think that trauma basically exists because we live in a place, in a time where women feel vulnerable for good reason. But when we get to a place where they can come back in, that, but in the meantime, they should have a space where they can be. I think there should be transgender, if I had some money, I'd invest in that. Maybe I'd make a lot of money if I just had this, I'm sure it exists. They called them back in the 80s. Anyway, I would make a space for everybody. I mean, it's entrepreneurial, but I would like to see everybody in that room together, all women in that room together. That's what I find aspirational. I don't want to see anybody go home, but if you got to go, you got to go. But there will be, women are not monoliths. There are some that will go. There will some that will stay. There will some that have trauma who want to get over it, who learn about transgender issues and realize that that's not a man, even though she has male genitalia, and they'll stay because they'll have an opportunity to learn. But we're all separated from each other, and they're getting news from weird places, and it's all about pedophilia.
Well, if people are not accepting of other people, then yes, because like if I go into a gun shop, right? If I go into a gun shop and I say, I'm uncomfortable with black people being in this gun shop, then the black people don't have to come to me and say, what can we do to solve this issue? The black person can just tell me to fuck off and go home. And I'd be like, no, you don't understand. The majority of armed robberies were committed by black people. So I have good reason for being leery and uncomfortable around you. And I have been robbed in my life by a black person. So, it's whatever. Like, I need you to come together with me on this. And the black person would rightfully tell me to go fuck myself and go the fuck home. Do you understand what I mean?
I think there are, again, we're not a monolith. I think there are some women who will go, some women who will stay, and some women who will come sometimes.
I know, and the ones who can't handle it, the ones who are trauma-ridden, who have the...
Go. Yeah, they go.
Yes, exactly.
But like you and me, who didn't come out of the womb understanding certain issues, whatever it was that got you on a path out of, the way this society socializes men. I don't know if you're cis or I don't know what you are, but are you cis, I guess? However you were socialized. somehow managed, despite that conditioning, to be where you are. You should be, I'm proud of you. And me, I came from, homophobic background, and I'm where I am now. Other people can also do that. I don't want to shut people out who we can possibly have, but the ones who definitely don't want to be there, the rabid racist, the rabid transphobe, or whatever, they're never going to want to be in that circle. But they could be a you or a me who'd be willing to be open to new ideas.
And then and those people Slaughter is a masculine. I'm sorry, I'm reading chat. Slaughter is a masculine presenting trans lesbian. That is not true. I am a masculine presenting non-binary though, because I don't have any emotional tie to my gender. I think that that shit's stupid. People who say shit like I am a man and I'm gonna do manly shit is a waste of everyone's time, and it's stupid. I'm not saying that it is stupid. Some people are or whatever, that they find it very important to identify that way. I personally just don't understand it, and so I don't have any specific ties to that kind of shit or whatever.
What did he call you?
Huh?
What did he call you?
He said that I was a masculine presenting trans lesbian. Oh yes, I did say that on Twitter. He said a masculine presenting non-binary that wants breeding boyfriends. I said that I want I said that I wanted submissive and breedable boyfriends. But the point that I'm getting at here is that I just don't think that we should be centering policy around the traumas of people, of like the personal traumas of some individuals. Do you understand?
You speak out of both sides of your neck sometimes, because I've heard you say that it's traumatizing for a trans woman to have to use a male bathroom when she identifies as female. So you want to accommodate.
I didn't say it was.
Having to use a male bathroom by allowing her, which she should be able to go in there. But you speak out two sides of your neck when you're talking about women, cis women, and trans women. It's just another example.
I just haven't said that. I never said that. I said that trans women.
Not in this discussion. I've heard you say it in other discussions.
Didn't say it.
Oh my God. Okay,
so
I understand you trying to.
Okay, thank you. I didn't say that. I had said that a trans woman that is going into men's spaces, as she begins to pass more and more, her the possibility of being assaulted exponentially increases, and that trans women experience violence at a rate 13 times more than their cis counterparts. It's just the way it is, and I want to reduce the number of rapes taking place in the world, and that is the goal, is to reduce the number of rapes.
Clarify that, because maybe I just had your podcast on, and I have heard you say that without elucidation, and that just maybe I tuned that part out, but I do agree with that statement. I think they should be allowed in the women's room, but I do think that you believe that any experience of trauma for trans women should be accommodated for, so that they don't experience that trauma.
No.
Agreed? Oh, really?
I do not agree to that.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm going to timestamp the hell out of you, but anyway.
That I don't think that we should be making policy decisions based on the personal traumas of people.
I think we should.
No, well, okay. The problem with that is that if a TERF has a personal trauma about trans women specifically, then I just don't think we should be making policy decisions based on that.
I think if there were no wait,
we covered this. I said the same thing about.
I would still be on the back of the bus if there was no policy decision made about the trauma that African Americans experience.
No.
What are you talking about?
We covered this because my analogy about black people in the gun store was.
I didn't get that. I didn't even.
You didn't get it?
No.
Okay. If I had experienced trauma about like being robbed by a black person, and I said that that we should come together and we need to make a policy decision for the gun store because I'm uncomfortable with black people being in the gun store because I was robbed by a black person. I said, instead of making a policy decision based on my personal trauma, I would just have to go home or go to a different gun store or just order guns online or something like that. I have to make accommodations for myself, and I can't expect an establishment to make policy changes in order to accommodate me. Does that make sense?
I think that in the analogy you just explained, that no, a policy should not be built around that, but policy was built around the suffering of African Americans and women and trans women, which is why the trans women that we saw can go into that space, and other things that are, we need more for everybody, but those policy decisions around women, people with disabilities, trans, where all that comes from, it's something that you're saying you're against.
If somebody has somebody needing a wheelchair ramp is not the same as somebody that's needing other people to act a certain way in order to get around their traumas. Somebody who needs a wheelchair ramp.
Of women in the workplace.
Huh?
There was policy made around sexual harassment of women in the workplace. You need that, because if the woman goes in there, she's going to have, all kinds of stuff happen unless you can try to police that, right?
Right, but that's not a response to the personal traumas of people. That is in response to wrongdoing. No, it's in
response of women in the workplace. That's what Me Too was about. That's trauma. You don't understand women and trauma. That's
you're wrong. You're just wrong. I'm sorry. You are wrong. It's not a response to the traumas of women. It has nothing to do with their feelings. It has to do with the wrongdoing of men in the workplace. And the purpose of the policy is to stop the wrongdoing of men in the workplace. It wasn't in order to make women feel better. It was to stop wrongdoing. I don't care about people's feelings if you're drawing up policy decisions or if you're trying up policy decisions or litigation, you are trying to stop wrongdoing, not protect people's feelings.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. And I'm thank you so much for having me. I have to go now, but we'll agree to disagree on a bunch of stuff, but we also did agree on some things, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today.
Okay, well, I appreciate the conversation. If you ever want to come back, just let me know. If you have something or if you hear something that I say or that I tweet or something like that, and you want to hammer me about it, I'm more than willing to talk about it at any time.
I think you're awesome, and I think you're a curious, amazing person, and I hope you keep learning.
And me
too.
I will. Yes, I will put it right back on you. I think that you are also awesome, and and I think that we are much closer than. Boy, 1 second, boy. I think that we are much closer than we think. I think that we're right there.
Absolutely.
But
you take care.
You take care as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. You know what? And it always comes down to this. This is the problem that I'm having with these conversations. Is that because that's kind of a semantic that is kind of a semantic disagreement that we were having, where she says that it's for instance, we're having policies against sexual harassment. We're having policies against sexual harassment in the workplace in order to she didn't hang up. Anyway, we're having a policy. We are making policy and litigation based on like the traumas of women, and I'm saying that it's to stop wrongdoing. And I don't know if she were referring to the same thing there, but it's something I'm learning with these conversations is that we have a word that we're using for everything. And wait, there was another thing that I have a problem with. They don't care about women's trauma. Yes, the transphobes do not care about women's trauma, and they are weaponizing the idea of women's trauma in order to make them more reasonable, make their transphobia seem more reasonable. I absolutely believe that for sure. Fuck. Got him. So anyway, they are yeah, but what I'm finding in these conversations is that it's almost as if we're speaking two different languages, and that's kind of the problem that we're having. But something that really annoys me that I see pretty often, that's what I was getting at, is that we have adopted the language of trauma for fucking everything. That shit is so annoying to me that, you know, if I like seeing a penis, because you live in a patriarchal society, if you've never been a survivor of sexual assault, or you've never had any kind of negative experiences like that, maybe you've had some discomforting experience with like, oh no, maybe you've had some discomforting experiences where like maybe a guy was too pushy or something like that or whatever, then that would suck and everything. But then people will talk about this as if they encountered a serial rapist, and we use all of the same words to describe everything. It's exactly like when we describe, I say we, it's just like when people describe everything as pedophilia. Talking about like if a 20-something-year-old gets involved with a 17-year-old, excuse me, wow, gets involved with a 17-year-old, then they call this pedophilia. And it's like, and then they drag this dude as if he's a freaking, I say dude, it's not always a dude, sometimes it's a chick, but they'll drag these people as if they're like serial rapists or some shit. Die. Okay. But they will drag these people as if they're like serial rapists or something like that because we have adopted the language of trauma for every fucking thing. Oh no. Mm-hmm. And that's really my biggest issue with that kind of shit. Bring me in on my alt. Okay. I almost called Silverback just now. Or Maine, rather? Okay. Where are you? Christ. I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are. No, that's somebody else. I'm stupid or something? Because I can't fucking find you. There's your alt. Oh my god. I got Lio Man 2 and Lio Man... Oh, Banana Box is you. I'm fucking... Okay. Alright, bringing in the Lio. The Leo. You there, bud?
Back.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, bud. Sound beautiful.
That was frustrating as all get out to listen to.
Yeah.
Losing my goddamn mind.
That's, yeah, it's something. You know, she seems like a good faith actor. Like she could be, I think that she believes what she was saying. I don't think that she was like misrepresenting her positions in order to like get gotchas or anything like that, or willfully misinterpreting what I said. Just it's an incredibly common thing for people to not have the ability to speak in generalities. That's the thing that fucking irritates me. To have to say 41.9% of women are this exact way, and these are the people I'm referring to. And it's like, I don't know, that kind of shit fucking annoys me.
Yeah, that kind of annoyed me too. And, I don't know, maybe she's on the spectrum or something like that, I don't know. But just the whole making accusations of you, but at the same time saying she doesn't like generality, it's just, what? You don't like make sweeping statements, but you'll make specific ones accusing somebody because you are thinking he doesn't agree with you, therefore he doesn't care about women? What?
If I remember correctly, I can't remember who this person was, but somebody did agree to a conversation, and there were people in the comments talking to her, talking about how I'm an abuser and I don't know anything about women or whatever. I feel like I know plenty about women, and if I don't understand, I will ask a woman. This is the first time I've ever heard anyone say we need to have reality and the public bend in order to accommodate the individual traumas of some individuals, especially that kind of shit. I just don't get that. And okay, real quick, I'm gonna have to ask my girlfriend this same question. Am I wrong in saying that the black people are the trans people? Like, black people are to trans people as the spa is to the cafeteria. I feel like it makes perfect sense that I feel like she had it flipped around. That cis women were not the black people in that situation. It was trans people.
I don't think your assessment is incorrect in this case. I think the issue mostly comes down to, and it's something I've noticed, people, especially people, and I don't mean to be derogatory when I say it, but especially people who lean so hard onto fiction for an idealized world without realizing that nature and reality doesn't care about the world you want idealized because you want Star Trek. And that's another issue I was having listening to this. Like, okay, so people can talk about patriarchy, whether or not it actually exists is something I'm still sort of scratching my head about. But let's assume it does, right? Just for this argumentation, let's assume 100% it exists. Things like rape aren't magically all products of patriarchy, because animals don't live in a patriarchy and they do it all the goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that, well, this trauma will cease or even lower if X factor is removed, I think is kind of childish thought. It's not an adult's thought process, because adults look at it and they understand that's not how reality works. You cannot get reality to bend to your will on a fantasy. That's not how things work, and I think this person might struggle a little bit with that. I do agree that we adopt the language of trauma for some really goofy things sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discount trauma, obviously. I think everybody has some form or another. But, and I'll go into a little detail about something else here when we're not, live, because it's a little more personal. But you can't expect people as a whole or reality to operate to suit your traumas. And in some cases, the only way you get over them is by confronting them. And what this person seems to be advocating for is no confrontation of that bias, no confrontation of that trauma. And the idea of if you can't handle it, you should go home is based and not cringe. So I don't know why people struggle with that issue. Like, okay, if I go to a party, which, I'm in my mid-30s, I don't do that. But if I go to parties, and there's a whole bunch of rabble-rousing and drinking, and I'm not in charge, and I don't like it, I go home.
Yeah.
I don't tell the whole party, stop! This is bothering me. I don't appreciate this. Knock it off. Because you know what they're going to do? They're going to be smashed. They're not going to pay attention anyways.
It's just like, okay, so like, I was at Bell's Amusement Park a million years ago when I was like a little kid, and my and one of the roller coasters crashed like right in front of me. I was like next in line, and ever since then I have been like super freaked out by roller coasters. I don't go onto the roller coaster and say it has to go slower to accommodate me because, you know, I'm scared of roller coasters. I just don't fucking get on roller coasters anymore.
Correct. But, you know, we have people that it's gonna sound really mean, but it all comes from some sense of entitlement. That's what it all comes from. I don't know where this came out of. I don't know when this trend started, but people aren't obligated to give you something just because you want it. People are not obligated to show you kindness. They're not obligated to show you civility. They're not obligated to show you mercy. They, you know, morally it's a wise thing to do, but they're not obligated to do it. And that's what a lot of people seem to be missing. Not just in this situation, but in many others. And it's been my own personal monster watching all that stuff go down and realizing, you know what? Sometimes people are stupid, and sometimes the only way they're going to learn is through horrible reality coming and slapping them in the mouth and kicking down their door and taking their lunch money. And this seems to be one of those people. Like, I feel for her if she's been through traumatic things, and I'm sure when she gets in the comment section, well, you don't know what it's like to be you're right, I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but if you think women are the only people who go through trauma, specifically sexual ones, oh boy, we're going to have a rodeo here, buddy. So
yeah, that was another thing that other caller brought up was prison, and I'm like, well, prison is an entirely different monster that I'm not really even sure how to handle most of those, and I don't know what the prescriptions are, but it's much different than the prescriptions that you'd make for like the general population and like the public, you know, because those people are literally, you know, they're in a concrete box, so it's a completely different thing altogether.
On top of that, I wasn't even talking about prison. I'm talking about, like, how many times have you seen this headline? Teacher had sexual affair with underage student.
Yes.
Instead of teacher raped student.
Right.
And it's always it's never with the female students. It's always the males that they go, well, it was an underage affair. Like, no, that child got raped.
There was a whole episode of South Park that was talking about that, where I think Ike, Kyle's little brother, was involved with his teacher, and
all the police did was say nice.
Yes.
God.
That was that shit is really super cringe. So there has to be. So she was right when she said that there is a both sides to this. And that's what I was saying about how society, or I said women. I don't know if I said women, but I mean, we
live in a society.
I don't realize, I forget that that when I'm broadcasting, that people are not going to understand the nuances of what I say, and that if I say women are training men or conditioning men to act in or to reinforce rape culture or something like that, I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. Maybe I did. I don't know. I was kind of speaking off the cuff. But I'm pretty sure that I didn't say that women are training men to be rapists. I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of like they're reinforcing rape culture. Boy, get out.
Boy.
What do you want?
Parental Tourette's is fantastic.
He's in here fucking blowing on stuff, or blowing into stuff like they're a trumpet. But I don't. Anyway, the point that I was getting at was that that there is a both sides to it. That whenever we're talking about like rape culture and stuff like that there is a men want sex. Boy, go downstairs and watch your videos. Go.
Or in this case, boy wants to bug parents.
Yes. Go. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that men... oh, shit. I was just sitting here and I got sniped. But there was a... what am I fucking saying? Okay. a
Double standard.
Okay, so yes, it's not so much that I'm concerned about the double standard or whatever. It's that men want sex, women don't give up sex, but then they're very guarded about it. But then they also treat men as if they're losers. Hang on, I'm gonna have to beat the shit out of this kid.
Bryce, that's something you should have said on live.
He took his stick outside and was just hitting the door with it. He needs some attention, so I'm probably going to have to get off of here. But the idea is that women treat men who have not had sex, or like if they're virgins or whatever, they get treated like losers. And so then they become desperate to have sex because they need the status symbol, so they don't get treated like fucking losers for not having sex. All I'm saying is, and all I've been trying to say is that... this is not a men versus women issue. This has a society's attitude towards sex issue. That sex is just really fucked. The way that that people have a really fucked up attitude towards sex, and that the way we handle it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, I've got to go ahead and say, if I heard my old man when I was at it say, "Hold on, I gotta beat the crap out of this kid," you would have seen like an outline puff of smoke if that was me at the door. I would have been gone. There'd be no evidence that I existed at that point in time.
Your dad probably actually beat you, though.
Oh yeah, my old man, like, he was hardcore corporal punishment. In some cases, just some of his punishments were just bizarre, and he taught me really weird things that you know, looking back, you know, when you're young, all you have for reference of what's normal is what happens in your home. So when you get out to society, or even as a kid at sleepovers or whatever, you learn, you know, kind of like that what was that one story with a kid with the poop knife. You learn that what's normal in your family is not normal elsewhere. Yeah. So, you know, you walk into a restaurant, you find a booth in the corner that you can put your back to, and you're like, well, why do you do that? Well, because my old man taught me, when you get into a building, you never know what's going to go down, so you find a nice secure place where nobody can sneak up on you. Well, why did he teach that? Well, because he was in Vietnam. Why did I learn that? Well, because I was his kid, and for some reason he thought I needed to know that. That man prepared me for some crazy crap. Has it come in handy sometimes? Yes. Has it terrified people most of the time? Absolutely. So.
Yeah. There's stuff that I'm glad that I know that has also fucked me in the head. There absolutely there's stuff that keeps me up at night that I'm glad that I went through, and I get that most people aren't like that, but I have seen some shit that I wouldn't want anyone to see, but I've also seen some shit that I think everyone should see. That it really puts the world into perspective.
That's the thing about trauma, isn't it? You can do one of two things with it. You can either let it define you and destroy you, or you can weaponize it and learn from it.
True. And that's kind of I think that was the whole point of that conversation, was that there are some women who think that, no, you will be defined and destroyed by it. And if you are defined and destroyed by it, that's completely healthy and a normal choice to make. And I just disagree. I don't think that we should reshape the outside world in order to make it to where those people who have an unhealthy relationship with their traumas are better accommodated. I just don't think so.
I don't disagree, but you know, I very rarely take any cues in this type of stuff from fiction. But some dude made a post years ago that's always stuck with me, and it's kind of a somewhat personal mantra. Somebody was saying, you know, with all the stuff Doom guy from the Doom games has been through, you'd assume he'd have some like crazy post-traumatic stress disorder. And one person responded with, he doesn't have traumatic disorder. He is the traumatic disorder. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna live by anything, it's probably that. So yeah, like I learned some things that have been helpful and some things that have been hurtful. I had one incident years ago. I was in summer school because school board de-leaving day last out of me, and I didn't do my schoolwork because I was a dum-dum at the time. And you know, teenagers, they don't have what I call they don't think three-dimensionally.
Right.
They don't have a real active concept of future. So what happened was I was dating at the time, and like a dummy, you should never date when you're in high school.
True.
And I walked out of it's not a cubicle. Oh God, what are they called? The outside buildings, the freestanding things that all governments put on schools because they're cheap, that do dick all during a portable building. And what happened was you go down this ramp, and I was heading on my way to the restroom. What I didn't know was that my girlfriend had decided to stop by campus and come visit me and go hang out with me after school. She decided she was going to surprise me. So what happened was
I see where this is going.
I turned the corner, and she was there, and she reached out, and the first thing I did was snatch her up by like the front of her shirt and rear back to just clock her.
Right.
I was like, holy crap! It's like my old man taught me some crazy stuff. So yeah, like that was one of those. Oh my God, this could have ended very poorly. And at one point it did, because at one point she decided to surprise me again by jumping on my back when I wasn't expecting it, and she got thrown. Unpleasant things. I don't like hurting people if I don't have to, especially if it's somebody I love. But in those cases, muscle memory kicks in, and
Right.
never. I'm not even a combat vet. I've never even been in the military, but don't do that crap, man.
Right.
Somebody who's been don't dick with people like that, especially if they tell you don't sneak up on me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to jump out at me. It's gonna go ugly. And then they do. Well, what do you do?
Right. Yeah, I absolutely understand. Well, I've just cleared out this compound, and it's been over 3 hours.
Holy
and
crap.
my girlfriend is her mom is coming over today, so we can because it's her mom's birthday, and so she's probably wanting me to go get my son out of her hair because they're trying to make a cake or some dumb shit like that. But hey, man, I appreciate the conversation, and we will see you all next time. Bye bye.